Hi everyone, this is Norman Koshnek yet again on Eyes on Cricket with Norman Koshnek. And I've been waiting for this day. I've had this vision about having a great guest on. I've had many great guests, but I think I've outdone myself now. I'm very proud to introduce Vikrant Gupta here today from many backgrounds, which we'll get into, but in particular, his work on Sports Stack has been phenomenal. A number of the seminars that he's had around India have been great to watch, compelling viewing. The man is not only a cricket journalist of extraordinary levels, a sports journalist as well. And I'm very graced to have him on here. And every single person I deal with publicly and privately says nothing but great things about this man. So welcome, Vikrant.
Thanks, Norman, and a big namaste to you. Touching words. I'm very happy to join you. In fact, this is the first day that we spoke. We've been in touch with each other through Facebook, but the first time we spoke, and I think I've also been wanting to do this for a long time. I've been waiting for this opportunity to be on Norman's show, but it's just that people who've spoken good about me are nice people, and they've been very kind. They've been very kind.
Well, I mean, it goes from former cricketers, current cricketers from Australia, from England, from India. Anyone that graces your shores feels welcome. They feel relaxed with you. And I think that's the cornerstone of what you do, is how relaxed you make people feel. And it's like a fireside chat, but with a great deal of effect and purpose. It means a lot to me to watch it. I learn from it. I'm even trying to learn some Hindi from you as well on occasion. It's not so easy, but you're going to have to teach me some words. I think one of your jobs for me is to teach me some good Hindi, because I can speak Sri Lankan Sinhalese, but I probably haven't got my head around the Hindi language and the other Bengali language. There's a lot of languages I like to get to. But first and foremost, and you've repeated yourself a billion times, but I'm intrigued about how you first got started.
Norman, journalism was by accident, to be very honest. It's been 24 years now, and on the 1st of August, which is next month, I'd be entering into my 25th, and it's been a great, unbelievable journey. And I'm not lying even a bit when I say that journalism was by accident, and I'm here the way I'm here with all your blessings. That's also part of uh, uh, luck, wishes from people like you, and opportunities that been given to me. See, I used to play cricket, and I played the age group tournaments for in India. I used to play for Punjab. I played the under-19s, and uh, Lakshman, VVS Lakshman was a year junior to me. Rahul Dravid is just 1 day elder to me. So, those were the real days for me. I come from Punjab in India. I played in Chandigarh. All of a sudden, the first class structure in India in the 90s was very strong. And since I was in Punjab, the Punjab team they were blessed at that time. They had uh, real big players. Navjot Singh Sidhu was the captain, so I could not play Ranji Trophy. And while I was to play cricket, I was playing for the university. I in fact led the university team, and we were the All India runners up. It so happened that I was doing my masters in English, and the block next to the English department was the mass communication block. I did not know anything about that. There was a friend of mine who wanted to apply for the entrance test, and I just went along with him. He bought a form, I bought a form, I filled it up, sat through the exam, and because of the sports quota, because of the weightage that was given to the certificates that I had while playing cricket, I got through. I joined the Indian Express newspaper, and I think that was the best thing ever to have happened to me. 6 years I spent there with them. I learned so much. I got the freedom, I got the exposure. I was not a youngster. I was like any other seasoned person. I was treated like that. And they gave me wonderful opportunities. And then I joined Aaj the India Today group, and I've been here with them for more than 18 years now. In fact, I'll complete 25 years on the 1st of August. So, like I said, television was at a primitive stage when I joined. And those days, sports was the back end of the channel. And then cricket, as you know, now in India is huge. I mean, we used to joke at that time, not necessarily joke, but this was also the talk of the management boards that three C's sell in India on television. One, cinema. Two, crime, the crime stories. And the third C was cricket. I mean, we started doing shows from a 15-minute bulletin every day. And I'm not exaggerating. We were doing almost 8 to 10 hours of sports programming on a news channel every day. 8 to 10
Wow.
hours. And but those were also the golden years of Indian cricket. I mean, India is number one in the world right now. But the kind of players you had then, you had the Gangulis and the Dravids, the Tendulkars and the Sehwags, the Lakshmans and the Harbhajans and the. I mean, that was a golden period for journalists to make their name. So I would travel with the team. I've been to Australia, I think 4 or 5 times, and so just
When was the
watching
last
those
time you came?
players,
When was the last time you came here?
the World Cup, 15,
Right.
the World Cup 15. I was there in 3, 7, 8 when the Monkey Gate happened. 12 when India lost the Test series 4-0, and then the subsequent Tri series where Virat Kohli got that brilliant 100 in Hobart, and then the World Cup. So when we would travel, and those days you didn't have that. Now they bar journalists from speaking to the players while the series is on. So let's say hypothetically, if Sehwag was to get 100, we would invariably catch hold of him in the evening. Or if Dravid was getting 100, or if Harbhajan was picking up wickets. So we would chase the players, interview them. Uh, I remember during the Monkey Gate, we would have barely 2 hours of sleep every night. So those were interesting times. And then the news channels were driven by cricket news. Now it's a bit different. I mean, generally on tours, players do not talk to the media as much. And there's also this wall between the players and the media, which is understandable. But so I was lucky to been born, to been working in that era when there was a Tendulkar scoring that century at the SCG in 2007-8, and then in the evening Matthew Hayden came. The next day Matthew Hayden came to the press conference, and people asked him about the because that was a very tense test match. So somebody asked Matthew Hayden about the relationship between the two teams, and he said, to me, the moment of the series was when I woke up in the morning. Hayden had gotten a century. He said, when I woke up in the morning and I saw the papers, the Australian papers, and there was this full page photograph of Sachin Tendulkar holding his bat like this after a century. And then the Sydney Test match. I mean, on the evening of the fourth day, we got to know that there was a hearing which was scheduled to happen after the Test match, and the hearing, which actually went on for about 6-7 hours till about 2:30 in the morning at the SCG, and then the ban on Harbhajan and the Indians refusing to travel to Canada. I was in fact the first one to report because Chetan Chauhan, the late Chetan Chauhan, he was the manager of the team, and I remember they had to travel by road from Sydney to Canberra, which was I think a 2-hour journey, and on the way they had to uh, take a detour. They had to drop by at Boral and go to the Bradman Museum as well. So because we'd worked till the wee hours of the morning, because the night was extraordinary, there was this ban and all. So I called him up around 10:30 in the morning to find out if the team had left, because we wanted to chase the team and then go to the Bradman Museum. He said the players have refused to travel. So I said, what are you talking about? I had already checked out of my hotel. I was sitting in a cab with my luggage. We reached there, and I think we got those shots of the players alighting from the bus. And then 2 days we were in Sydney. So, you know, cricket at that time was also driving the country. I mean, there were protests in India, there was jingoism. Obviously, there had to be jingoism. And I remember the Indian players telling me how they were being targeted in Australia. But one column that the late Peter Roebuck wrote a full page column, I think he wrote. I don't know which paper, maybe SMH or The Age,
Yeah.
wherein he said the Australian team under Ricky Ponting were like a pack of wolves. And somehow the sentiment in Australia changed. And I remember Ricky Ponting, I think, had to change his telephone number because he was getting hate calls in Australia, even from the native Australians. And then the Canberra game, and then the Perth Test match. So those things are so vivid in my memory. But
Amazing.
like I said, watching Matthew Hayden, watching Sachin Tendulkar, or Lakshman, or the others, Brett Lee bowling fast, those are the memories. And I've been lucky enough, Norman, that I've traveled the world. Normally in India, because we are not really a rich or a developed country or a first world country. I mean, for us to travel to the Caribbean islands is something that you don't even think about. But because we were cricket journalists, I got to travel to the Caribbean twice, and Antigua. I mean, I could see the place, Jamaica, stories that I just read in the papers or in magazines. To see them, to see Michael Holding, to see Sir Garfield Sobers, to
Amazing,
meet
man.
the, I mean, to meet the two openers, Gordon Grange, Haynes together. I mean, so cricket, like I said, has been an amazing journey. When I look back, like I told you, it just happened by accident.
It's such beautifully said. I mean, I when I hear you talk, it reminds me of all the different Indian colleagues that I've made over the years, from your Burias to your Dabashas to Kuntals. They're people that and Harshaburga, the rest of them, I've been able to have plenty of time with them. And not only are you great people, you love your cricket. There's a community that's created between all journalists, true friendships that can never be replaced. Moments in time, whether it be the 15 World Cup with Tendulkar in the corporate suites, the way that he would grace people. It's just such an amazing thing to be able to share. And I want this to be one of many occasions that you come on and we can reminisce and also share these deep thoughts that you have and the love that comes out of your mouth when you talk and the sheer passion. You can't be a journalist for 25 plus years unless you've got passion. I don't care what viewership, what money, what prestige goes with it. That's irrelevant. It's the passion for sport, and in particular cricket here, that you have got that emanates from you, that the rest of India sees in you. And that's why you are who you are. And every time I see you, even though I'm not perfect in Hindi, I can sense what is being discussed. There's such a cross-boundary effect of your way. I'm not trying to buddy you up here. I'm telling you the truth. Okay? I'll tell you, it's called a spade. You are exceptional. I've heard nothing but good from you. I'm blessed to have you on the show. I'm going to pass a comment that Anshuman Gautam, who's also called Music Harmony, by the way, has sent here. And this man is incredible. He's one of my favourite fans. He has said Vikrant needs to leave sports tack. Now, don't take this literally. It's a comment. And start his own channel. The other guys are there pretty much mediocre, basically fetching views with thumbnails and by creating controversy. Now, he thinks highly of you. He's being a bit damning of your colleagues, but the reality is you are of that stature that you could hold yourself with your own so-called channel. Now, I know you've got a lot of relations with your son. I'm not sure, is it both your sons involved now, or is it more so one?
No, the elder one doesn't come on the channel. I mean, it's called Cricket Talk, and it's the younger one. He's a fast bowler, by the way. He's a medium
That's
pacer.
right. Yeah.
The elder one is a left-handed opening batsman, and the younger one just started it. And my parents, my father and my mother, they push him. They call him up. Why don't you do a video with your father? Do it. And then he'll ask me. But the elder one doesn't come. As for me leaving Sports Tak or Raj Tak or India Today and going away for my own channel, Norman, I have a different view on this. Passion. If you're driven by passion, you like doing what you do. But one thing I've learned in my life, and I've seen people far more skilled than me, not having the best of destiny. I've learned in my life there are two virtues, two qualities which essentially describe a professional and a professional. One is loyalty, and there is skill. Obviously, you need to have both if you want to excel. But I've realized, Norman, that if you've got skill but you don't have loyalty, you can only go afar.
Exactly.
If you got loyalty, skill is something you learn any day on the job. You'll
Absolutely.
go very, very far. So, today, if I were to go and open my own YouTube channel, well, that might be good for me. But what about the organization which has given me the platform for 18 and a half years? I owe them. So, I still play cricket. Like I said, I still play cricket. And the last year was very tough because 6 months we didn't play cricket. Our leagues, the Sunday leagues. And again, 2, 3 months we didn't play this year when the second wave happened. So I've had two games, last Sunday and the one before that. I say one thing, Norman, and I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. I love playing my cricket. I'm not a cricketer per se. I'm not a test player, an international player, not even a first class player. But even if I'm just a league, a club level player, I tell my friends, I have this dream. When I go with my pads on. I mean, nobody wants to go per se, but so you're absolutely right. Vocation and vacation. For me, you know, maybe people have had to work harder than me. Uh, for me, I was lucky also. And for me, understanding the game was a bit easier also, relatively easier as compared to those who've not played. Again, I would not know how to play Murli Dharan or how to play Brett Lee, but I do know that if somebody is bowling quick and the ball hits your handle, what can it do to your hands? I also know, I also know, even if it's a Sunday league game or a test match, when the batsman gets out, he feels as if death has come. For those first few seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, it's like death. So once you realize how it is being in the other person's shoes, you can actually empathize with them. And that doesn't mean you can't criticize players on their game. You've got every right to. I don't subscribe to people who say, why are you criticizing the players or saying this or that? Fact is, today, I'm sure you would be aware, Rishabh Pant has tested positive in England.
I've heard, yeah.
There's a support staff, the throwdown expert, who's also tested positive. Three players, Ridhiman Saha, the bowling coach Bharat Tarun, and one more player, they've been isolated and quarantined. And the team had to travel to Durham today. We saw this coming, Norman. I can't say today, oh, it shouldn't have happened. I said this on the 23rd of June. Why have they been given 21 days off? I mean, 21 days off, cricket would have been okay. But they were roaming about, they were allowed to go anywhere, they were attending the Euros, the Wimbledons without the masks. Because in England, they say now the masks are not mandatory. Even though they're not mandatory, should still wear them. So now it's happened. What do you do? So if you don't criticize the BCCI or the team management or the players now, criticize as in you've got to question them. You've got to sympathize with those affected, of course. But if you don't question them now, when will you question them? How is it that your team management in England writes a letter to the chairman of selection committee asking for two replacement players? There's a protocol. The protocol is that you write to the board secretary, who is also the convener of the selection committee, and he then goes to the selectors. So the moment you're bypassing the BCCI, which means that the organization doesn't really matter to you. All this was fine till there was no BCCI and there was this committee of administrators and the players were dealing directly with them. So if you don't question them, What will you ask? What will you say?
Exactly.
See, people say, oh, India has done so well. Let us be with the team. Yes, of course, we are with the team. 130 crore people or 1.3 billion people are with the team. And the performance of the cricket team, it drives our pulse as well, the pulse of the nation. But it cannot be a blank check where you don't question them. You've got to question them. I mean, Peter Roebuck is no more with us. But I think what he wrote that day was absolutely, absolutely correct.
You
And
know,
it
Peter
was the
Roebuck, let me just
Australian.
interrupt there for a minute. Peter Roebuck is one of the most, he was very close to me and he was a magnificent man. He called a spade with great passion
Exactly.
and intelligence. Amazing man.
Yeah. So, so there was somebody who moved away from jingoism, wrote something which he felt. And within hours, how is it that he could actually influence the thoughts of the Australian fans, the Australian public? They started sympathizing with the Indians. I mean, for us also, it was a lesson. I mean, this is also how you ought to be. Not every such opportunity presents you to be a jingoistic. You've got to also have a balanced view. So you learn all these things. But I think passion is something, Norman. The day you run out of passion, you start treating this as a mere job, you're finished.
You've touched a certain point that's very dear to my heart. Now, I work very closely with a form of street talk. And after the Indians won the Australian against the Australians early this year, the most heartfelt comments I've ever heard came from people off the street. A 12-year-old boy who had an appreciation of Washington Sundar and the Shardul Thakurs and the like, and Natarajan's playing in that match, the way they held themselves high. That passion has left an indelible mark of respect upon all Australians about Indian cricket. Certainly before that with Kohli and what he has done. But that particular match at the Gabba, and I was lucky enough to be in that midst of that game, the reaction was amazing. And I put this video with the help of another group called Sri Harsha Cricket, and we've had this street talk. The people, the words they say, you would love it. It's just so real, and they mean it. And it was sensational. The respect Australia has for India, and in particular the players, and the likes of a Punt or a Kohli or a number of the players you can mention, is beyond belief. We are now looking up to India beyond any other stage of our cricketing history, and it's magnificent. And you wait until you come down here next time. You'll be well known, even beyond what you were before, not because of any stardom, but the passion you've shown. While you were talking to me, a guy called Richard Verdon has just messaged me, has come on screen. He said, this man is amazing. He's talking with intelligence and passion and common sense. Three words don't always go together with one person, but you've nailed that. And the man who gave this comment is really a very good judge. So
Thanks so much. And I'm actually, it's an honor, Norman, to be on your show. Honor as in, just give me a second. You know, I've been watching your shows, and I mean, you're quite senior to me.
oh, what do you
Also,
mean? I'm only 45. I'm joking.
I'm 59.
Oh, my fault. I am older than you. I certainly am. And today, we're both got a bit of a greatest there. Our beards going on there.
No, see, this is all natural, but it's just that I never grew a beard. It's been 4 or 5 years. I grew it, and then I realized, I've got this amazing streak. Sandeep Patil was my favorite cricketer.
Yeah.
Sandeep Patil, and he
Yeah.
used to have a beard much the same way. In fact, Sandeep Patil scored a century in Australia at the Adelaide 80-81. He scored 174. In fact, in the Sydney Test match, he got hurt by a Rodney Hogg bouncer, and he had to retire hurt at 64. And then the next Test match, he scored 174. So Sandeep Patil, because of that knock, I used to listen to the commentary live from Australia. This is 80-81. I was 7, 8 years old, and since then, Sandeep Patil was my favorite cricketer. And the moment I grew a beard and it appeared thus, I said, I'm not going to shave off the entire life. Also hides my age, by the way, because I've got these layers and layers of fat which show on the face. So the beard can actually hide it. But Norman, like I said, you are not I mean, this is not a job for you. You are doing something out of your passion for the love of the game. I think you are a fan first, and then whatever you do is secondary. I know if you're a fan, you've got to be careful. There's a very thin line bordering between bravery and the bravado. But I think if you're a fan, you do realize the limitations of your team. You also understand the high points of your team, but you also need to respect the opposition. I mean, when I was growing up, you had the West Indies, uh, Sir Clive Lloyd's West Indies. I mean, you would hear them rip apart teams. They would lose probably one game a year. And I've seen Australia uh, post Greg Chappell, Rodney Marsh, and Dennis Lilly leaving. And Anil Border was the only batsman who would stand up to the the West Indies fast bowlers. Kim Hughes, the way he went, he was a great cricketer. I mean, especially his flick shot, I would admire. And then the way Alan Border built his team, David Boone, Jeffrey Marsh, you had Dean Jones, Stephen Waugh, Bruce Reid, McDermott, Simon O'Donnell. And then the way they dominated the world. And India was probably the first country to challenge Australia. That is why when India and Australia meet, it is like two tigers taking on each other.
Oh, it's so well said, and I'm looking forward to you coming out next time. And when you do, you'll be the red carpet will come out. You'll get experiences you've had plenty already, I know, but there are some experiences you haven't had, and you watch out. You watch what we can do. The particular player that I'm thinking of is a man of great legend, Neil Harvey, a great man to meet. Some of the aspects of he is a phenomenal person, as you probably already know. You can have a local cake and chocolate with him down at his local Woolworths store. He's amazing. But there are people, even in the areas of Barrel, that have great history. You need to be able to meet beyond who you've met. And I'll keep that little secret for me between you and me. And when you come next, the red carpet's going to be rolled out beyond what you're ever going to believe in. You want to be taken somewhere to eat.
Neil Harvey. I mean, you just said Neil Harvey. And I go back in times. I mean, only the stories that we've heard or read. Neil Harvey, Alan Davidson, Ray Lindwall. I mean,
Nice.
Keith Stackpole. Bill Lawry was my favorite commentator, by the way. The first time we could see live cricket from Australia was in 1985, the Benson Hedges World Series, and Bill Lawry. Oh, I mean, I was a huge fan. I met Richie Benaud in 2012. I got a picture clicked at the Gabba, while India and Australia were playing a one-day game. He was weak at that time, and I said, I'm a huge fan, and he looked disinterested. And I said, I just want a picture with you. I said, I want a picture with Richie Benaud at the Gabba, the place where you were the captain of the Australian team that had that wonderful tight game. His eyes, he looked up to me, he said, come, young man. I mean, legends. Greg Chappell, when he came to India as the coach, of course, and I'm not joking. When he was appointed the coach in the afternoon, and the interviews were happening at the Taj Hotel in Delhi, Taj Palace, and once the appointment was done, he was to come down the elevators to a room where he was to hold a press conference. And I was looking at him walking down, and there was this Indian gentleman who had this tricolor, and he just put it on his shoulders. And Greg Chappell's coming down with the tricolor, and I really had goosebumps. I said, "Oh, so Greg Chappell is going to be the coach of the Indian cricket team." Of course, the experiment didn't work out the way India wanted, but that was a moment of pride. I mean, Dennis Lilly, him coming down to the MRF Academy in the 80s and training the Indian fast bowlers. And it is the culture. It is the culture, the fast bowling culture. Now India is the number one team in the world in Test cricket, not because of the batting. I mean, batting is India's weak point. And if India don't win in England, it'll be because of the batting. But look at the Indian fast bowling. And it's a culture. I think we've got better fast bowlers than even Pakistan now. So we've got to credit Dennis Lilly for that. And one of because my father used to play, and my father and Bishan Singh Bedi, they were together in Amritsar. They grew up together. They played together since the school days. So when Bishan Bedi would come to our house, and like a kid, I would just sit, listen to the stories, and Bishan is a great storyteller. So he would say, "Oh, I ticked off the Don," and I would say, "Who's the Don?" So it was the Don. The Don was Don Badman. So Ian called me. Ian was Ian Chappell, and when I would read, I did a story when I joined the Indian Express about the caught behind dismissals. I don't exactly remember the story, but it was something on the lines of how Caught Grout bowled Davidson and Caught Not bowled Underwood. I think at that time was and Caught Dujon bowled Marshall. Caught Bari bowled Imran. Caught Kirmani bowled Kapil Dev. How one man's destiny was tied to the others. It was a wonderful story, and my editor in chief, Shekhar Gupta, he was traveling somewhere. He personally called me up. He said, "I like this piece."
I swear, you and I could probably talk for about 25 hours and would not have a moment's silence or lack of thought, because there's so much in you. It's oozing out of you, and I believe people have an aura about them, and it's not just their ability to talk about cricket, but it's the passion that resonates from you is beyond belief. There are very, very few people, and I'm not just saying this to you, there are very, very few people that I would say that to, and you're one of them. It's been an honor to have you. I mean, look, you are welcome anytime, and when I bring some people on, you let me know if you're available. You can come on anytime. If there's any burning issue, you just burst the door down and come on unannounced. You are welcome. There's a chair for you. There'll be a chocolate, a cup of tea, maybe some biscuits. They may not last very long if I'm near them, but that's
And a glass of red, perhaps.
Of course, it goes without saying.
From Adelaide.
you wait until you talk to Boria, you talk to Debashis about the time they've had in Australia when they've been around me and Akash Chopra, you name them all. They have had nothing but great times here because we just get along so well, and you are in that same group.
I actually look forward to meeting you. I look forward to meeting you, spending time with you, and discussing cricket and nothing else.
We'll discuss a few other things, but we won't talk about them on air. There'll be a few other things men talk about.
The first time I have a confession to make. I mean, if you've got a few more seconds.
You can talk as long as you like. You got all night.
The first time I went to a casino was in Australia. This was December 2007, the Boxing Day Test match. I think a couple of days before the Boxing Day Test match. I was staying by the Yara. I've forgotten the name of the hotel.
Grand
It was
Hyatt,
Bang. The team was staying at. I again forget the name of the hotel. Very prominent one. Normally, teams stay there by the corner. Yeah. I was right opposite that place. So, and we were opposite the Crown Casino.
Right.
So we went there for dinner. I went there for dinner with Saurav Ganguly, and that was Saurav Ganguly's 100th Test match.
Wow.
So went there for dinner with Dada. We came back, walked down, and then somebody asked me. I said, "Well, we just had dinner at the Crown." He said, "Crown Casino." I said, "I don't know if that's a casino. Crown is what I know." So he said, "Oh, that's a wonderful casino. Let's go there." So I went there the first day. I think I won some $250 playing roulette. And even though people warned me that you win once and you lose 10 times, that was the first tour.
Oh, look, that's the allure of a casino. If you're taken there with the right people, they have the most fun, and luck's generally on your side very early on, that's for sure. But a game, okay, really it's one game, but a game of craps. Have you ever had the roll the dice on a massive? That's a lot of fun. And you could spend an hour there and not even spend much money, but the excitement's a lot of fun. It's a very mundane thing in terms of the amount of money you lose, but you have a lot of fun. So we'll have to do that one day. We'll have to. This, on my little list of things to do with you, it's going to grow, and we'll make sure we keep in contact. You let me know. I mean, even when Sachin was here in 15, there was an event that we had at I think it was Doyle's restaurant, and he was hosted there, and he was so humble.
Sachin stayed at the Crown. He was staying at the Crown Hotel.
Correct.
I mean, because he was doing shows with us. So
That's right.
I remember one day after the India-South Africa game, I did a show with him at the Crown only.
In Melbourne, you're talking about, yes. But there was also the Sydney incident where we went to the Doyle's famous seafood restaurant. Have you been there in Watson's Bay? If you haven't, you're going to go there. Have you been to that restaurant?
Is that by the Darling Harbour?
No. There's I think there was an outlet there, but the original one, which is in Watson's Bay, which is the very south end of Sydney. You walk up, there's like a sleepy fisherman village feel about it. You've got to go there. Okay, that's it. I'm not taking any excuses.
You take me along.
I'm going to take you along, and you're going to be fed like a king. You'll have fish coming out of your ears in the end.
Look forward.
Look, anytime, Vikrant, you just name it. My viewers are making superlatives. Even the most hardened critics are loving this, and it's the honesty of this discussion. You can say anything to me, and I will say anything to you, and that's what cricket's all about. If you've got passion, I can share your deepest thoughts. The Rishabh Pant scenario, or the way they were gallivanting around at soccer and tennis matches, although it was fine, it gave the wrong signal. Not wearing a mask, they should have had the responsibility to wear a mask. Even though others were not, they should have held their situation, and it's proven to have backfired. And you're right. I feel very strongly about that. Tell me, Vikrant, in the next 5 to 10 years, what's one thing that you'd like to achieve, or more so visit or experience? Is there any top, say, 3 things that you would like to experience that you haven't experienced with cricket?
I don't know. I actually live in the present, and I'd like to take things as they come. But one thing that I've learned through cricket and the travel is that there's nothing that can beat travel. And when I first went to the Caribbean in 2006, my eldest son was just 2. The younger one wasn't even born. And when I came home, I thought one day in my life, I'll take my family on a vacation to Antigua or Jamaica or wherever. So that is something, if that happens, I'd be very happy. Because not just the place, I mean, the cricketing legacy that they had. I mean, the first time I went to the Caribbean, I actually went to Kingston. I landed in Kingston at around 2 o'clock in the night. And I was to wake up early, because normally you do wake up early when you go there because of the time zone difference. So I had to travel to Montego Bay for some practice game. And Norman, the first commentary that I heard from the Caribbean was 1983. India had gone there, and then subsequent tours would also watch on television. So I had imagined Jamaica in a particular fashion. The trees and the roads and the people. I woke up in the morning, and while that cab came to pick me up, I spoke to him. He spoke exactly the manner I had thought. When I went out, I saw the trees. They were exactly the way I had visualized them for about 25 years. And they had that Shell petrol pump, which I'd been imagining for years. It was exactly the same. I mean, of course, Australia, England, even Pakistan, India, they've got rich tradition of cricket, but nothing beats the Caribbean islands. I mean, especially you go to Jamaica, you go to Antigua, Trinidad, Barbados, the kind of legacy that they have. I mean, cricket is in the air. Either it's Bob Marley or it is cricket. There's nothing else.
You mentioned Bob Marley. Alan Mullally, who comes to my show regularly, will be jumping out of his skin at the moment because he adores Bob Marley. And if he was on air now, we wouldn't stop him for half an hour.
I am lucky enough, not just the museum, which people can travel to.
Yeah.
I had the privilege of going to the Tough Gong Studios in Kingston, to
Wow.
the studios where Bob Marley would record his songs. So
Wow.
I don't know. I was lucky. Asked someone, took me there. They gave us the permission, and we could actually shoot our story at the Tough Gong Studio. We don't have
Oh, that's
pictures. I mean, those were the
we're going to have a rendezvous. You're going to
pre-camera
rendezvous in
phone days.
Australia, but you're going to rendezvous with me one day in Antigua. And we're going to go to Montserrat, which is not far away. A boy with a 2-minute story. I was in Antigua. I had an incredible experience. That's another discussion. I went to Montserrat for the Sunday, not really having a purpose. I arrived there in the morning on a Win Air flight, and all that was there was a taxi driver and a security guard. And the guy said to me, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Oh, I'm coming to see Montserrat." He goes, "It's a Sunday, you idiot. There's nothing going on. Everyone's at church." And I felt really down. I thought, "Oh, I wasted my day." Got in the taxi. He took me to a gentleman's house. We woke him up. He didn't know who I was. We got and had a discussion. He realised my love of cricket, his love of cricket. He said, "Come with me today. There's a local game in Montserrat, downtown. 2 teams are playing. Pretty big deal. I'm one of the commentators. Come and join me." I said, "Sure." Before I knew it, I've been shoved into this concrete little shed with microphones, and I'm actually a guest commentator. Having just landed in Montserrat, I don't know anybody. I'm there, and I'm talking about players I don't even know their names. It was hilarious. Within an hour of being in this country, I'm then commentating about cricket. While I'm commentating, these 2 big gentlemen walk in, and they were there, and they sat in the corner. I finished my little period, and I went over and shook their hands. One was the Minister of Sports of the country, and the other was the so-called head minister. They're positioned like a British protectorate. So they were the 2 head honchos of Montserrat. They go, "Norman, we were in the car. We heard you on radio. We didn't know who you were. We had to come and meet you." And that all transpired within a couple of hours because of one thing, cricket.
Yeah.
And you've just felt that.
It binds all of us together.
Amazing. It's just, oh my God, you wait. Well, we're going to bump into each other in Australia without a doubt. You're going to be treated like royalty. You'll have a little crown on your head. Then we'll take you through, obviously, Antigua.
Make me play just one game anywhere.
Oh, you betcha.
Level.
You betcha sweet Patuski there. You're playing a game of cricket.
Nobody's going to bounce me out. Just feed me those friendly half-volleys.
Oh, my deliveries, I don't wait for the batsman to look up. I'm onto you before you even know it. So watch out. Well, to definitely challenge you. Look, Vikrant, this has been wonderful. I don't know how much time you've got. I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have you. We could talk for hours. You are welcome back, and we'll find other excuses to get you back on. And if you have a burning desire, just belt the door down and you're on. Especially if there's some guests I've got that you'd like to meet. You've met them all anyway, but you're a gem. Please take care. You are leading your country as far as journalism is concerned, and keep it up.
Thanks,
may I bless you for that.
Privilege.
Namaste, as they say.
Namaste.
Thank you very much, Vikrant.
Thanks.
I'm going to let you go back. What do you on another program now? You on another program?
Yeah, it's going to be in the next half an hour.
Okay. I'll let you prepare for that.
The entire mess.
Bless you. But Vikrant, we're going to keep talking now. We're like
definitely
we're like lost cousins.
Just one message away. I'm
sure,
just one message away.
Please.
Thank you. Thanks, Norman. Good night.
All the best. Thank you very much.
Bye.
So
cheers,
you'll I'll let you go. I'm actually staying on. I'm going to do a little bit of a monologue, so I'm letting you go. All right. Take care. Ciao. Well, guys, that was sensational. We're going to get more people on now. That was a brilliant time. I didn't want to take up too much time of Vikrant Gupta. He's a very busy man. He has about close to half an hour for his next show. I respect his time. We've had him for almost 45 minutes. This episode will certainly be taken as a separate episode. But this is a live stream, guys. So I'll be inviting more guests on as we speak. And anyone that's joining us for the first time, this is Norman Kochnick on Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick. You can see my so-called Twitter handle or my Instagram handle. Please also, if you would like to, subscribe, because we're going to have great guests like Vikrant as many times as we want. He is somebody who has been sensational. He could have been on for, I thought he would only be on for a short time. He lasted much longer, and I'm very respectful of that. And I do respect people. So, Anshuman Gautam said some great comments. Ravi Shukla, Akansh Chandri, Barami Irani, I hope you enjoyed that a lot. This is a little taste, guys, because I'm sure we're going to have Vikrant on more often. It's been a long held period of time. He's somebody who, as you saw, was brilliant. But don't you agree with some of the comments? Not only is he intellectually very stimulating with his cricket knowledge, his memory of great moments is there. His passion for cricket, his unadulterated passion for cricket is what we all are about, whether you're in India, whether you're in Australia, for that matter, in England, West Indies, South Africa, New Zealand, UAE, Oman, Kenya. I know people are listening from Kenya, from Austria, from Peru. They're all over the world. Cricket is growing. Don't anyone ever let you think that cricket's not growing. Growing around the world. It's particularly strong in the countries you'd least expect. Women's cricket is taken off into the stratosphere. It is more popular in a lot of countries than you would ever imagine. I played cricket in Germany for a period of time when I was there back many moons ago. And although there were a lot of expats, they were still heavily from Germany liking cricket. We played against Italy. We had different other countries within Europe. Then, of course, America. America has an incredible number of native-born Americans, Indian expats, South African, Sri Lankan, Pakistani, you name the country, they're there in force. West Indies in particular, Fort Lauderdale. So Vikram and I will certainly get together more often. I certainly wanted him to feel that he's got something left in his tank there. He's got a lot to talk about, that man. Amazing. So again, this was a comment that was common. Good to see a leading sports journalist like Vikrant Gupta in our show. My best wishes to both of you, veterans of your fields. The word veteran is probably a bit tough. No, I'm joking. Of course, it's a matter of realising that we do love our cricket. Now, we didn't want to talk too much about, I think there was an unwritten rule between Vikrant. We weren't going to talk too much specifics about cricket on this episode. It was more about getting to know each other in the open forum of our viewers. And we weren't going to talk about the fact that Hardik Pandya is in his situation, the Rishabh Pant with his unfortunate circumstance where he looks to be COVID positive, although I think it's the first, second test. I'm not sure what's going on there. But we're going to be able to be blessed to have a lot more commentary through the Munchie. Hi all. Is the journalism the same in India as UK, where the true sports journalists always compete with the scandal monger journalists? That's why the players don't interact as much now. Interesting point, Munchie. I think that there's an element of truth to that, but I think Indian journalists are superlatives about they are. You've got Galton, you've got Buria, you've got obviously Vikrants, you've got the Dabashas, Kuntals, and you've got Harini, Rana, you've got Okapali, you've got a whole string of other, Siddharth, who's on the channel, a whole range of incredible media people that are out there now. That Harsha Bogle, there's a whole string, even the likes of Vikrant Gupta, who's brilliant. I think he's brilliant. There's an amazing array of great people. They've all been on my show at some stage. I've been very lucky. Buri is obviously very close to me. The structure of India today with Sports Tack and Arj Tack, and obviously there's now Sports Today. There's the likes of my channel. You've got a whole range of other channels out there, from the ones which involve Jeff Lemon and the like. I'm going to summons a few English people onto my show. We'll get Richard Vernon. Are you out there, Munchie? Have you got time? You've got the links, I'm assuming. Richard, he sent Munchie the link. And Chris, join us, because this program's only just started. We really want to make sure that you guys are aware of the situation, especially when it comes to some of the matches that have been played. Australia versus West Indies. Australia had an opportunity today, of course, to win. They didn't exactly thrash West Indies, let's be honest. 189 to 185, I think that was the difference in score. There's virtually none. Really, the West Indies normally would normally be able to, have that success. Richard's saying there's no link. We'll just get him on here. It's just a testament to Australia has certainly a long way to go, and the West Indies are steaming hot at the moment. And I'm really impressed with a whole range of the West Indian players that we saw play today. It was quite phenomenal. I'm just going to pull up the little list here. Richard, I'm going to send that, Richard, to... There we are. You should have the link. I thought you had the link, Richard. Where's Chris has got it. Chris should be joining us now. He's due back. But I want to make it clear that what Vikrant said was very true. The passion for cricket, the love of cricket that he has abounds. You can't. It's undeniable that you've got a lot for him to be around for 25 plus years. It's not just because he's a good journalist. He's also somebody of great passion. And he's had those amazing 4 or 5 times he's been to Australia. His love of the likes of West Indies. And I gave you a quick story then about, of course, the Montserrat, which is an island very, very close to where Antigua is, Antigua and Barbuda. Then you've got St Kitts and Nevis nearby, and then you've got Jamaica, all not all that far away. Amazing locations where these players have played over many decades. Mr. Richard Vernon, Reg, how are you? How did you like that?
Norman, I just need to say that I feel humble because I have come on your show as just a normal guy, and I've followed one of the most interesting and intelligent guys. I think he's the best guy you've had on. He was just amazing. I was just awestruck to listen to him. What a fantastic gentleman. Absolutely fantastic. And I'm humbled to be on after him. I really am.
Well, he is actually, you'd have to argue, if not the leading sports journalist as far as being on the airways. There's certainly some great writers out there. Gautam Bhattacharya, there's Lokapali, we've got Janaka there and for the Hindu, obviously Buri Majumdar, Debashis Sen, Kuntal Chakraborty, Simon Patri not around as much now, Harini Rana. These are all people that I know that are brilliant, and obviously Harsha Bogle himself, a number of the ex-players, Deepta Gupta. There's a lot of them out there. But this man is right up there. And you know what, Richard, I'm going to say this very strongly. I think it's important for a person to be a sports journalist who's not necessarily somebody who's just come off the Test cricket network. And why I say that? Because I think, although we've got to respect people that have played for their country, there's no doubt they have got experience that you and I will never have. But what they haven't got is probably a position of looking from outside in. And I think you can't replicate that. You can't see what it's like to be in a fan's eyes until you've been a fan or until you've been a journalist, which you've actually had to write about the game and be very critical. Now, what he said about Rishabh Pant, and I don't know the full details yet about Rishabh Pant and, of course, and whoever else, some of the support staff, and even the fellow from Sri Lanka that I know very well. But I think that the reality is they should have been wearing masks at Wimbledon. They should have been wearing masks at the soccer matches. Don't you agree?
Well, as far as I've read, the Indian Cricket Board or the BCCI or whoever in charge in this country asked the players to take precautions if they asked them not to go to those multi-crowd venues. So Pant went anyway. Whether he picked it up at Wimbledon, these were controlled experimental crowds. He could have picked it up anywhere, Norman.
No, I don't deny that. But
he needed
the
to
fact that he was so open about it.
Yeah, he should have worn a mask. Well, let's face it, he shouldn't have been there. I know I don't want to criticise the guy. I really don't. But he is an elite sportsman about to participate in a global event, which is massively important, not just for him, but for the English Cricket Board and the BCCI. We need to get this cricket series played. And I'm not in that situation where I have to, like him, he has to stay away from normal life. But if he's going to be playing at the elite sport, he has to take a certain amount of responsibility for his actions, and he probably shouldn't have gone. But I don't want to criticise too much because, there for the grace of God go all of us, Norman.
Okay, why I'm talking about this is because there were 3 Sri Lankan players. They were in amongst a bubble at the time and they broke rules and they were given quite harsh punishment. Now, admittedly, the Indian players were not in a bubble. They didn't sneak out of a bubble. They were technically allowed to do what they were doing. They were allowed. Yeah. They must have been allowed because they wouldn't have done it if they weren't allowed. I'm pretty sure. They wouldn't have been so public with the photograph.
Not to go. I think it's been reported in this country that there was a letter that they received that they were asked not to attend.
Really?
That's what I read this morning. But you know how journalism is, Norman. Sometimes it's right and sometimes it's wrong.
I don't know. I'd be taking with a grain of salt. They must have had I don't think they were that stupid to go to Wimbledon and to a major World Cup match, or not World Cup, sorry, Euro to 2020, whatever it's called. I don't think they would have done that necessarily so openly and photographed it so openly if there was any doubts about their attendance. I tend to think that there was quite likely to have been, maybe they were given words, but they weren't obviously, mandatory words, were they? Does that make sense? Like,
it was. Yeah, I haven't seen the communique, if you like. I haven't seen it. It might have been just a polite request rather than an order. I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't like a mandatory, you can't go. So we've got a few people, we've got some new people. Rajiv Margo, I'm not sure what he talked about. He wanted to ask Vikrant about the not fine Hardix replacement. Will he still rely on Pandya all round? Or also, how can we win the World Cup with Arthur? Look, Pandya's question has been going around for what appears to be ever. This whole fitness issue with him has been a major one. And look, he's at his best when he bats and bowls. Let's be honest, without even inside. Okay. I don't want to jump just yet. I wanted to go more into the second hour about Australia and the West Indies. Australia won today, but they didn't. They cannot say it was convincing. Four runs.
Hold on, Norman. I've not seen the highlights yet, but I looked back on I saw the score sheet, and again, that doesn't always tell the story. Did you look back at the last 2 overs? What happened?
Well, I mean, the reality, I watched the whole thing, actually. It was my time slot.
36 off the last 2 overs. The penultimate over goes for 25. And then the last over, 11 to win. Both batsmen, he was bowling at Russell, wasn't he? Straight out the old people's home, Andre Russell.
Yeah, Stark, look, Russell batted fantastically. He hit a 6 off the last ball, by the way. I'm pretty sure.
But hold on. Stark, who is a world-class bowler, he bowled 5 dot balls at the start of that over.
No, it was pretty
great bowling performances.
Because really, with 11 runs to go,
5 dots.
11 runs to go on the last over, they should have taken 2 shots from Russell and it would have been done. The West Indies, I tell you what, lost the match, but they didn't lose it heavily. And Australia have been given a nice old slacking in this particular tournament.
Well, they won. I mean, they won a game. It looks like a great game of cricket. Crumbs, 180.
Well, Mitch Marsh has certainly shown his form.
Yeah.
He certainly has.
Norman, I did a little bit of research for you on the West Indies over 50s, as I call them. When the World Cup comes around, which is in October, I think, October, isn't it? Just to give you an idea, Chris Gayle will be 42. Lendl Simmons will be 36. Andre Fletcher, 34. Dean Bravo, 38. Fidel Edwards, 40. Russell, 34. And Russell, 33, and Pollard, 34. That is a seriously aging side. I know I'm being nasty to them, but I've got to be honest, that is, oh my gosh. Are you scraping the barrel a little bit, Norman?
Well, I'm not scraping any barrels here, but I'm going to put myself in the middle because I do not want to have father-son arguments happening. So, welcome, Chris Vernon.
Hello, how you doing? You all right?
Fantastic. You're wearing the MCC hat today, I see.
Yeah, that's the one. I don't know where my other one is.
You mean the other one being this one?
That's the one, yeah.
Probably this one.
Could be.
I was just saying, Chris, how old the West Indian squad is when it gets the World Cup. I just can't see them winning a tournament with 2 guys over 40, 1 guy 38, 1 guy 36, and 3 others 34, 35. I just don't see it.
I'm afraid. Did you see Chris Gayle's 67 the other day when he hit 7 sixes?
I did.
He absolutely murdered Hazelwood, who was, I tell you what, didn't play today, and I wonder why. The reality is Hazelwood's only played less than 10, 20 T20s anyway.
Yeah.
Confusing selection. I even think, even though Stark did bowl well today in the last over, I still think they have got bowlers that should be bowling in the T20 circuit. And Stark is a bit like a James Anderson scenario to me. He should be sticking to one format, which is Test cricket. That's my thoughts. Even though he bowled well today, you would argue. Really, if Russell decided to really whack it, the game was won after 2 balls. So they didn't win. Okay, fair enough. Now, Chris, are you both okay? Everything's good?
All good. All fine, thank you, Norman. Yeah, not bad, thank you.
I mean, Chris.
I've had my jab. I've had my
Oh, well
jab.
done. That's good. That's good. Chris is a massive Chris Gale fan, but that's been his only score, pretty much, in this series. If I think I'm right in saying. Yes, in game 3, he's been a little bit light on runs, and he takes a long time getting to be light on runs. What I'm trying to say is, if he's out early, he gets 3 off 12 balls or something like that. And
oh, gee, I mean, hang on a minute. He scored 14,000 T20 runs, almost 4,000 more than anyone else.
Well, it's the same age as being you, Norman, isn't it? I mean, roughly.
It doesn't matter. Am I right, Chris? Support me here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. You talk about how old they are, but you've got Russell, Pollard, probably the two of the best fielders in the world anyway. So it doesn't matter how old they are. Gale is a bit old and a bit knackered, but Pollard and Russell would be 2 of the best 10 fielders in the world without a shadow of a doubt, even at their age. So I don't think you need to worry about that too much. And it's just a competition, isn't it? You pick your best side to win a competition. And Chris Gale gets going, but it's 2020 cricket. You can't be consistently scoring runs. That's the nature of the beast. So
you haven't mentioned your young mate, which your dad told me all about. The bloke who played with you.
Hayden Walsh. He's doing well, isn't he? Went to school with him, and then he played. He was an overseas at our club for a year.
Doing well.
Yeah,
he's
good player.
He's put himself in the side permanently, I reckon.
Yeah, he's obviously just in. It's difficult being a leg spinner, isn't it? But because you do get whacked, but he's got a good googly, and he is one of the best fielders you'll ever see as well. He's phenomenal. Good luck to him. I think he played for America, for the United States, because he didn't think he had a chance to get into the West Indies side, and then it's sort of all gone from there really. But no, he's doing well. Pleased for him.
I mean, look, he's doing more than well. I mean, he had a bout of COVID early in the year. Have you been in communication with him throughout the year?
Not a lot. I spoke to him a couple of times, but not recently. Not too much.
Well, I mean, I'm expecting you to pull some strings and get him on the show, for God's sake.
We'll see what I can do.
I mean, look, he seemed like a really. I mean, there were Fabian Allen is the other one, isn't there? He is another great bowler and fielder. Andre Russell was incredible in the field. There's superlatives all over the place in that West Indies side. Take your regiment. Please be wary of this. I don't care whether they're 40 in the shade. The reality is they've got a couple months before they're going to produce big time. And unless something dramatic happens, they're in the top 4 teams for the World Cup. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think I said before the series started, Norman, that I thought Australia would win, but I also said that at St. Lucia, all these games have been at St. Lucia. It is a little bit low and slow, and the West Indies have been playing there all their summer. They played their last series. I forget who it was South Africa. Who played there, Chris? Do you remember who was there before? It was whoever it was. That was in St. Lucia as well. And so they were very used to those conditions, and they bowled well. Well, their seamers didn't bowl as brilliantly well, but the spinners bowled well, and maybe caught Australia just maybe a touch cold in the conditions. Going to be very different out in the UAE, I think, for Hayden Walsh.
No, sorry, are you saying touch cold because of weather?
No, touch cold on to the ground conditions, the conditions of the pitch. You know, normal home advantage can be when you play club cricket and you go away to a ground. There's a massive home advantage, and certainly when Australia just rocking up to a ground, they might not have been quite expecting how the pitch played.
But can you explain to me 3 wicket keepers playing for that Australian team when none of them are playing well?
Carey's lost touch a little bit. He came over here a couple of years. How many years ago would it have been, Chris? It would have been maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And he was a star bat in that series against England. Carey looked an absolute beauty. And he's
lost his way. Matthew Wade, who should be no longer playing any level of representative cricket, I'm afraid. I think he's past it. He's certainly not the best. He's keeping over and above Josh Philippe and Carey. That's also wrong because I believe Carey's a better keeper. Anyway, there's a few issues there around the selections of that. Even Mitch Marsh, I'll give it to him, he batted very well in terms of the amount of runs he scored. I'll give him that. But he's not going to be batting number 3 for Australia when it comes to the crunch, even though he did okay in the position.
Who's going to be replacing Payne as wicketkeeper in Australia? I thought Wade would be the natural successor.
Well, Wade was dropped from the Test team not that long ago.
Yeah, but he wasn't keeping, was he? He was just there as a batter.
Oh, well, he's then irrelevant of his keeping. He shouldn't be in the side full stop. He's not good enough.
So who keeps? Who? Because Payne's got the Ashes, hasn't he?
And yeah, Payne's got the Ashes. Test cricket's Payne until the Payne goes away, so to speak. Well, he's in that position.
Yeah. So who takes over in a year? At the end of the
end of Carey, but Josh Philippe seems to be the short form. He had a pretty ordinary start to this little series, but he showed great form in Australia, and looks to me. But he's also an opening batter, and this is where my frustration comes. If he's selected and he's not opening the batting, what are they doing with him? Matthew Wade, who should not be opening, in my opinion, who failed right through, shouldn't be in the team. Philippe was there and kept. It would have been your answer. I'm afraid Philippe's probably leapfrogged Carey as far as the short form is concerned. As far as Test cricket is concerned, we'll wait and see about that. It's a way off at this point. Yeah, Chris, you're very quiet.
No, I'm just listening to what everyone's got to say. So I don't know what the Australians would do with their. I don't know enough. I know that Philippe's the young plays in the IPL, doesn't he? So imagine that he's going to be next cab off the rank at some point. But I mean, it's difficult saying that the low, slow wickets in these series will be a shock come the UAE, but those wickets are all low and slow anyway. So, it's not, they're going to have had loads of cricket on them because the IPL is going to have been played on it as well. So these wickets that are slow, dead, aren't going to suit quick bowling. So it might just play into the West Indies' hands if that's what they set up to do. And with a couple of decent spinners, then, it's going to suit them even more, I think. So.
I was going to quickly answer a question. Shubman so answered, will ABD lift the IPL 2021 trophy? No, because firstly, South Africa won't make it. And AB de Villiers at this point is not suggesting he's playing. So there's 2 no's there. Another gentleman earlier on mentioned, where is he written here? A man, I think it was this man. Oh, I can't, it's gone back so far now. In-depth analysis with Natish. If you want to join, you need to send me an email. I need to be able to talk with you before you can become on. But you can certainly do that. You've got my Twitter handle and my Instagram handle. Message me through Instagram if you want to do that. All right, guys. Okay. Australia West Indies. I told, I think, a few of you, or more so Richard and Munchie and the like, that Australia were going to get smacked, and it happened. They were forgetting the fact they've had to travel. The side selection was atrocious, in my opinion. And even Behrendorff. See, I think Stark and Hazelwood, certainly Hazelwood, and including Stark, should be sticking to Test cricket now and allow the Behrendorffs and perhaps Riley Meredith start to earn their stripes in the other format, because they're not going to produce better cricketers if they're going to have a mismatch of activity. There's a real issue with Australian cricket as far as their team selection is concerned. Mitch Marsh he shocked me a little bit. He batted particularly well, but I don't know whether he's going to be the answer. So it's going to be, they've got obviously Maxwell, Stoinis, and Warner, and even Steve Smith floating around. Although Steve Smith maybe looks like he's not playing in the World Cup. That's the last we've heard. All right.
Norman, let me ask you a question. Do you know when the last time the West Indies beat Australia in a bilateral series in any format that's of more than one match? When would you think the last time the West Indies did that? In any format, more than one match in a bilateral series?
Well, the way that you're talking, I'm going to say it's back as long ago as the 70s.
1995.
Right.
So, pretty good performance by the West Indies to do that.
Oh, gotcha.
And I don't think Australia are that bad a side they took out. I've got a great lot of respect for Stark and Hazelwood. I think they're good bowlers no matter when you bowl them.
But Chris Gale absolutely gave it to Hazelwood. Absolutely. One of the few batters that I've seen tear him apart that easily.
In another match, Hazelwood went for some runs as well in his first over. Who was that? Who was that, Chris? Who
Meredith has also gone for runs. Meredith has gone for runs as well.
Yeah. But in one of the first two, Hazelwood his first over went for 19, and that would have been the opener.
And he based himself in bowling sort of a length and very hard to get away, but he was absolutely pulverised. Chris, West Indies' chance of winning the World Cup?
Yeah, I would say they're reasonable. Depends on, I think they'll either get annihilated in every game or they'll get to the final. Yeah, I think that it just comes down to can this squad of players just hit form at the right time? But that's the same for any side, isn't it? Like if you can, all it is about finding a team that can hit form when you need it to. And I think they've got a good chance.
Hang on. He said IPL. No, I've lost the plot there.
You answered his question. You said AB de Villiers. Will he lift the IPL trophy?
My apologies. I just jumped into it. My apologies. I'll take that back. I didn't. I just thought World Cup for some reason. My apologies. The IPL. Well, because of the way that RCB are playing, if they get Maxwell in the side and they get Kohli, they'll be in the top 3 or 4 teams. Yes. But whether they lift the trophy, I still think Delhi Capitals on that one. My apologies, Barham and Abigail. My apologies. I didn't see that. I just jumped to World Cup. Okay.
We don't know how the squads will alter, Norman, for the IPL now, do we? With the World Cup straight after and with COVID around the world, is there going to be, do you think, some big alterations to the IPL squads?
And for that matter, the World Cup as well, because Steve Smith is almost making it clear he's not going to play the World Cup. But does that mean he's not playing the IPL? That's interesting to me. If Steve Smith plays
cricket boards allow it the other way round? Will the ECB allow England's players to go and play IPL literally 2 days before the World Cup starts, or will they want them in a squad environment where they're in biosecure and away training with the squad?
Okay. It's an interesting point. If you're getting paid millions of dollars and you're told that you're going to be paid if you play the IPL before the World Cup, you're going to play in most cases. And I actually respect that because, it's a fairly sizable financial reason to play. Now, the World Cup, there's no real reason why people can't play both. If they're good enough players, as in physically and mentally, they should be able to play both. That's my thoughts. I don't necessarily think that you'll be poorly done by if you don't play one. So if you play one and then play the other, I don't know whether that's necessarily the case. I think they should be capable. They should. It's not like it's grueling 5-day Test cricket. It is rather short form. I don't know whether it's as taxing on the body as what there were a Test series before. Chris, your thoughts on that?
It should be fun, really. 2020 cricket, isn't it? I think that's the format that players all look forward to playing, isn't it? Like I know that Test cricket is still the pinnacle, but I think a lot of players at all forms always look forward to playing some 2020 cricket, don't they? So I don't know what goes on there, or that if there's obviously been some discussions between the Aussie team or what the deal is, but we'll just have to wait and see what they come up with. But you wouldn't say that Steve Smith is a great 2020 player, is he? He got released on the Royals, and I wouldn't say necessarily even gets in Australia's best side when they've got the likes of Maxwell and other people. So,
Maxwell's not playing in the 100. He's pulled out of that.
Yeah,
certainly. I think there's been a fair few pullouts of the 100, as a matter of fact, hasn't there?
Yeah, a lot of the Australians mainly, isn't it?
Yeah. I actually was a bit shocked that Stark decided the West Indies was where he wanted to be, if I'm being honest with you. He is obviously going to be looking towards the World Cup as his next tournament. He didn't play the IPL for the first section, did he?
No. Is that because he didn't get picked up or because he didn't want to play?
No, I think he just didn't play. So I would imagine he won't be picked up for the second half either. So that won't happen. I'm sure he won't play the second half. So he's drawn a line in the sand, saying his duties for Australia are more important, which is intriguing. Someone like Pat Cummins, though, who wasn't in the West Indies, nor was Warner, I think they will both go to the IPL because they've got strong contracts there. And we'll probably see Pat Cummins as somebody who is more suited to the T20 format. Absolutely. He plays good for Test cricket, yes. But I think you'll see him be one of our lead bowlers in the World Cup. I actually don't think we'll see Hazelwood there at all. I reckon you won't see him there at all. Not only because of his performances, but there are Berendorf. Geez, he looked good. Berendorf looked good in this match just went by. He's one they should be considering. Yeah. Anyway, all right. We've left out England versus Pakistan, haven't we? In our early discussion. Buzzer Azam must be commended for his performance. His 158 was a superlative knock, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Chris, did you see it?
Yeah, I did watch most of it. Yeah, he's a good player, isn't he? He's. I think Pakistan will just be disappointed with their performance in the series. Really, it was an England side that half of them probably will never play for England again. So yeah, I think Pakistan will be pretty disappointed, given that they consider themselves to be. I think if they'd won the series 3-0, they'd have gone to number 1 in the world ranking. So, for a side that is pretty much close to being one of the best sides in the world to be stuffed 3-0, they'd be pretty disappointed with, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly gave that game a bit of a thrash. They gave it a nice old shake. The game that they lost when Buzzer Azam scored 158, it looked as though England were in for a bit of a fight there. But then James Vince came to the fore, and the so-called second-string England side came to the fore. And it's given some players. I mean, both Vince and certainly Dawood Malan are now in contention for the main side, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, but they've always been in contention, haven't they? They're always sort of the players who are there or thereabouts.
But Milan's ranked the number 1 player in the world. Why the hell's he not in the side regularly? Why isn't he first one?
2020, Norman, not
T20,
yeah. Yeah, he's number 1 in T20. It's a different game. He's not got that great as good a record in the one-day cricket.
Oh, but that's still. I find it a bit hard to comprehend someone being 1 in a certain type of cricket and not being considered for one that's not much different. Let's be honest.
I agree, but you've got to look at the first team in the one day first team who weren't playing, and there's some players he's going to have to displace, isn't there? It's going to be hard to get in it.
Yeah. But he should be given opportunity. I think this should produce.
Would you
open evidence?
Would you open the batting all 3 games? Would you open instead of Roy and Bairstow? Would you open in front of Roy and Bairstow?
Okay, I'm probably now leaning more towards Test cricket. Sorry, I am leaning more to the Test series. Well, I think that they should give him a go up the order. And didn't we talk about this before, Chris? As well, we talked about Dawood Malan's position in the team, and even the likes of Sibley having some concerns there. But anyway, I think Milan hasn't been given enough of a go in all formats. And again, he doesn't seem to be making. Would he be picked in the T20 World Cup team? Will he be one of the first ones picked for that?
Who, Milan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll definitely be in the side, wouldn't he?
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I think so. He's done well, hasn't he? I know that he's sort of one of these blokes you always feel is close to being dropped. He's always sort of 1 game away from being dropped, but he's never not going to be playing in the squad. I mean, he should be playing. He should be playing in the team without a doubt. So I'm sure he'll definitely be there for sure.
Okay.
That chase, Norman, by the way, the highest run chase ever in one-day cricket at Edgbaston before that, yesterday or the day before, was 278. The highest ever. 278, and that was by Australia in 1993.
Hence why I thought Pakistan had got their measure in that match at that stage.
When it's flat at Edgbaston, it's a good place to bat. I think that would be fair to say, and it was a good flat wicket, and it was good to bat, and a couple of guys furthered their credentials, didn't they? Lewis Gregory and Saqib Mahmood have both been drafted into the squad for the 2020s, which are starting tomorrow against Pakistan. It's 3 2020s. The squad are all back. The superstars are all back, give or take a couple, after their quarantine. But Lewis Gregory and Saqib Mahmood have pushed their way in.
I think it's fantastic. Isn't that fantastic? Because let's be honest, had this fallout of players not happened, he wouldn't have got a look in.
No, I think it gives hope to everyone, doesn't it? Chris has even got a chance, I reckon.
Well, yeah, well, that's not going to fun. But
if he could actually use his bat once in a while and get it, you know, off 2 or 3, then he might have a chance.
Yeah.
No comment. There was a good stat, by the way, Norman, in that. I wrote it down here. Barbara Azam's false shot percentage. They rate that. Would you believe they rate false shot percentage in that 150 was 7%. So only 7% of his shots were considered as false shots. There have been, listen to this though. This is better. There have been 5 one-day hundreds scored with a false shot percentage of under 2%. Right? Rohit Sharma has one of them. Barbara Azam has one of them. One player has 3 one-day hundreds with a full shot percentage under 2%. Who do you think it is? Go on. Any guesses?
I know. I saw this on Twitter,
Okay.
so I'm not going to say.
Someone we talked about the other day, Norman, when we were on. We had a long discussion when we were talking about.
Oh, I hate these sort of things when you're loading the question with an answer I should be able to answer.
It was someone.
We're getting a question now. Where is Vikrant? Patrice Roy, he was here for 45 minutes in a man's extremely busy schedule. We're very lucky. I'm sorry he's not here at the hour 20 mark, but it almost looked like I was shooing Vikrant away. I wasn't. I was concerned about his time. But just to go back to that for a second, wasn't it a great interview? Did you enjoy that? Chris, did you enjoy it?
I didn't see any of it. I've been doing some work today, so and the golf's been on as well, so I didn't manage to catch it. I'll listen to it later.
Oh, well, your dad was there. It wasn't amazing. It was.
Yeah, he was.
You've got to replay. You've got to watch it. Chris, please promise me you do.
I'll have a look.
He talked. I mean, he's captivating when he speaks, isn't he? He's got a certain magic about his persona, and he holds your audience. So,
okay, this is just a quick question here. Hashim Amla, but Biramarani's put a question mark. I don't know where Hashim Amla's come into play.
No, he wants to know who the player who scored 3 1-day-hundreds with a less than 2% full shot rate. It was AB de Villiers.
Oh, well, I'm not shocked about that.
But less than 2% in 100 of false shots. Wow.
The guy's a freak. Let's be honest.
Really good. But some guy the other day when we were on them, if you remember, was saying how rubbish he was. He'd never done it. Remember, the guy was saying he'd never done it at a tournament. And we were saying it's not all about tournaments, is it?
No.
Yeah.
All right. We have now this for something. Rain actually brought this up while Vikrant was here. Vikrant was here, and I didn't actually say anything about it. But the so-called superstar culture issue in India has been a problem for a long time. This is in disrespect to fans who expect good cricket from Indian team in finals. Look, the superstar culture. I think actually India handles it really well. To be honest with you. Considering the 1.3, 1.4 billion people out there that are around them so much, they actually handle it quite well. If I'm being honest with you, people talk about Virat Kohli being arrogant. He's not. He's aggressive. He wants to win, but he's by no means that. And having had the way that Vikrant held himself just then before, Richard, the humbleness of his speech, the man is the leading sports journalist in India on a massive, 50+ million platform every day. His humility is typical of all the Indian players. I've met Tendulkar in a very personal sense. The man wanted to talk about his wife. Okay, Ganguly, despite being very polished and very articulate and very intelligent, is humble. They actually call you sir. I get a message from Vikrant about this discussion today. He says, "Sure, sir." I'm Chris, don't you think we all need to learn from that?
Yeah, I think it's just the culture, isn't it? Like I know a few guys from the subcontinent from India, and they all would address you like that. So no, it's a polite and no, for sure. They're just it's just a nice people, and certainly nicer than some of the people over in this country a lot of the time. So
I'm going to say something very controversial here, Norman, and you're not going to like it, but I do think that question you put up, he has got a point. I think that Kohli does suffer a little bit from the superstar culture. I think he does give this persona of being above and better than the rest of his side. I don't think he creates a team all togetherness within his team. I think that massively came to the fore in Australia when they were absolutely beaten and bruised before he went home. And then the minute he wasn't there, Rahane, who I think is a much better man manager, he seemed to draw the players together. They clearly lifted, and you could see it. You could see on the field a difference in that side and a togetherness.
Okay. I from your perspective, from where you were talking, I get that can be taken as the situation, but I see a very different side of what I've seen with Kohli. He was in constant contact with the team, despite not being there for the second, third, and fourth tests. He was very often being engaged with the team. And if you talk to Ravi Shastri, you'll get a different perspective. Ravi Shastri would not agree with you at all on that one. And I understand that's what we see. I understand that. But the truth is, he single-handedly, since, I'm not going to say an exact year, 17, 18 or whatever time, reshaped the way that Indian players play without fear. And that permeates through all the players now more and more. And he was single-handedly responsible for that. With Dhoni before that.
Oh, Ganguly I would have thought Ganguly.
Oh, Ganguly
would have
certainly was. Ganguly, now you're going way back, a little bit further back. But the reality is, the fear factor is gone. If you look at Kohli's stats, he's been captain for the most. I think did we talk about this last time? Did you and I talk about this last time?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, Chris, and this is what you might want to chime in for. Do you realise that Kohli's played the most test matches as captain for India?
I didn't know that, no.
61. Okay. Second is 60, which is Dhoni. Okay. Then there's a bit bevier in the 40s and 30s and what have you. His win percentage is 59%. Okay. Which is there's only the likes of Steve Waugh and I think Ponting that are ahead of him. And maybe Williamson at the moment a little bit. But so he's right up there. Now, people say that he's causing dissension. He can't be all that bad if he's won so many matches. You can't not have the room behind you if you win that.
Yeah, but I disagree there because I've read a few different people and seen a lot of people talk that they actually say that Ricky Ponting wasn't that great a captain. He just had the best side in the world. Like you could have stuck me in that side as captain in Australia and voted one test. So
no, I'm not going to disagree with you necessarily, but Steve Waugh was 71%, and he deserves that mantle by a country mile. But Kohli's right up there. So is Williamson, for that matter, at the moment. It's a pretty commendable stat. You can't say India had the best side throughout that period.
They had the best conditions playing at home.
Yeah, but you've got to play. Or they played only at home?
No, but they've away from home, Norman. I don't know, but it's not they've been beaten twice in England. Last time was a good series. They lost it 4-1, and I think the series before they got well and truly hammered here. 4-1 wasn't a fair reflection of that series. I don't think. I think that it was a closer series than that. But the one before was the one where Kohli didn't score any runs, if you remember rightly. Two series ago in India here. He didn't score any runs. The listeners and the viewers are disagreeing a little bit with you, Norman, on the comments. What you've been saying.
Okay. I mean, look, I'm not trying to defend Kohli. I'm just saying to you that he's got a great record and he can't be denied of that. Now, whether his time as captain has come to a lesser point, whether I think maybe he realistically should give up one or two of the formats and keep one, and he's going to keep Test cricket probably over the other two. I'm assuming. I don't know. But that may well be a fair answer. Maybe he won't keep Test cricket. Maybe he'll keep the short form. But he should still be playing cricket for his country.
It'd be a shame if he doesn't. He's a lovely player to watch when he's in form, and he's got the Viv Richards swagger about him, which we were talking about with the arrogance, weren't we, Norman? We were talking about the difference between arrogance.
No, this is it. Baron Barani's saying something which he said he was in the side for his bang. Now you are saying he's in the side for his captaincy. No, I'm not. I'm saying the complete opposite. I'm saying he should still be playing as a batter and perhaps relinquish one of the formats, if not two of the formats of his captaincy. So it's the other way around, actually. It's his batting that's going to keep him in there. Chris.
Yes, I watched in Australia, Norman, and I thought that India were awesome in the last couple of tests. And I just looked at Rahane, and I just thought that he had something. He had something. Those players really did respond to him. And we were talking about, me and Chris were talking about time, weren't we, Chris? How much Rahane seemed to gel them. You can't command respect, Norman, and get it, but you have to earn it. And there was something about the Rahane with those younger Indian players there was something going on there. And that's all from what I could see. And I've got no insight into the dressing room at all, as you have, but I just what I could see on the pitch.
Okay, I mean, look, it's hard for me because I'm not trying to defend Kohli here. There is obviously a sea change going on somewhat. This series against England is an acid test. 5 test matches on pretty good English conditions with your James Andersons and the like and the teams against him. Kohli's got to perform, not only as a batter but as a captain. You've got Rohit Sharma, Pujara, Rahane all on the side, vying for captaincy as well. But I'll tell you what, Rahane's form's pretty ordinary as well. He's not exactly being flash. So I would argue that this series is going to have a lot. I mean, it's not very far away. It's August, 4th? August 4th. July 15th, 16th now. I mean, my God, that's only a couple of weeks away, isn't it? Jeez.
Yeah.
Not far away at all.
It's going to be a good series. It's going to be a bowler's series, I think. And of course, England have done what they always do. They've let Ravi Ashwin go and get himself a little bit of form playing the county championship, because that's intelligent, isn't it?
Well, I'm beginning to wonder whether there was not an English conspiracy giving out free tickets to Wimbledon and to the soccer finals. Chris, you responsible for that? Were you slipping free tickets to both Punt and Ashwin and the likes so they can be exposed to COVID or something? Was that like an inner secret?
I saw that Pant tested positive, as someone else as well.
Well, apparently we had the news broken by the leading sports journalist about an hour ago, because in fact they are saying nothing about who was actually. They're not really announcing it, but he came out in a forthright manner to Vikrant and said it is Punt, and he mentioned 2 or 3 of the staff that are in the background there that have come down with as well, which has caused a massive scare, because if they'll have to do it in England, they'll have to be 2 weeks in quarantine, days before the match.
I saw Pant has been isolating for the last 8 days, so this isn't new. They just hadn't said anything. They kept it a bit hush-hush, hadn't they?
Yeah, look, I can only say that I've had my Pfizer shot and I'm happy, which, by the way, I know I can't really say publicly how I got it. I jumped a queue a bit. Yes, I did jump a queue.
But your age, Norman, aren't you one of the weak and vulnerable? Don't you get it naturally?
Well, it was funny because I got in. I won't explain exactly what I'm going, but I was questioned while I was in there saying, "Are you really in this category?" And they had the top 5 questions. They were trying to ping me on 3 and 4, and I said, "Hang on, number 5, over 50. What are you asking me any more questions for?" And he said, "No, you came in here because of question 3." I said, "No, 5's letting me in." So he had let me in anyway because I'd qualified through the back door. But otherwise I'd have waited over about 2 months to get my bloody thing. So I got it 2 days ago. So I'm happy.
Is that why you've grown your beard, Norman, so back? Because it makes you look so much older.
Well, I've got a beard because we haven't gotten the. I'm a real lazy sod, and I'm normally at the barber. I'm normally at the barber once a week, and they shave me well and good. They're not bloody open at the moment.
Behram reckons it's because age and obesity, Norman, that you qualified for your jab. I think it's very rude.
Farah Mirani, I'm going to come to Singapore one day, and you're going to be strung by the nearest light pole. I'll tell you right now. There'll be a Barami Irani be hanging from his left leg with his iPhone watching one of my previous shows. Is that right? There, let me make a comment. Okay, all right.
There was another interesting cricket thing. We're talking. It's a cricket show, Norman. Did you see the stat? And I can't follow through with the answer to the last bit. You're going to ask me a question on answer this. The ball that Parkinson bowled to get out Iman al-Haq was the biggest spinning ball ever to take a wicket in one-day international cricket, and the second biggest spinning ball across all formats since data has been collected.
Do you mean in terms of how much it turned?
How much it turned? How much it turned?
Oh,
the
look.
Second biggest spinning ball in any format of cricket to ever take a wicket. How about that?
Well, I think the wicket that Warren got Gatting that is still the most amazing delivery.
The difference with Parkinson's is he was bowling over the wicket to a left-hander. So the ball was going across the left-hander, pitched outside leg stump and hit the top of leg.
Okay, it's okay. That's gone the other way, hasn't it? Oh, I mean, I'm afraid it's not going to beat the Warren delivery by any way. Okay, no, Ireland versus South Africa. Ireland beat South Africa. What the hell happened there, Chris?
Ireland just half decent side some of the time, aren't they? I think in the last 10 one days they've beaten England, South Africa, and Australia, or in India or West Indies, but then they've lost to Holland, UAE, and Afghanistan. So they're just a side that on their day are a bit of banana skin, aren't they? But yeah, that's about it. They've just got some good cricketers, haven't they?
Yeah. South Africa are all over the place, though. I don't know what's going on with South Africa half the time. It really bewilders me. I still don't understand their quota system. I still don't understand why players jump off to England or wherever they go. I don't understand that. Well, I do understand one thing. Joburg is going through the most frightful amount of riots. Have you seen the footage of the riots? They're looting every building under the sun in Joburg at the moment. It's horrible.
I was in Joburg for a little while a few years ago, and it's
really
not a place to be really when you're used to growing up like the three of us, without bars on your windows and barbed wire around your fence on top of your fencing. It's a very strange place.
It's a shocker.
We're not used to that, and it's a cultural shock when you go there to be told don't go out at night on your own, or with someone. They said don't go out in the daytime on your own, go in pairs, but if you're going out at night, just don't go.
Yeah. It's if you don't leave Santon City, the walls of Santon City, the gates of Santon City is what I was told. I experienced it. Okay. There's a question here about Major League Cricket in the US. I'd love to hear the thoughts from this person called Human. I mean, the reality is it was tried. There is a lot of major leagues of cricket going on in America. There are more participation rates of cricket in USA than anywhere else in the world. We just don't understand that, but there are more. I mean, Florida, Texas, California, New York State. There's probably another dozen or so probably states that have got it that I'm not aware of offhand. Washington, I think too. There's a lot going on. It's quite incredible.
It's expats Norman, mainly though. It's expats.
It doesn't matter. I mean, are we then calling some of the England players expats or Australians? They're expats all over the world. It's no longer. It's great. It's great. It's superb. I mean, if you go to, I think all the IT, the so-called what do they call them? You know, Silicon Valleys of the US are full of expats, as we know, who love their cricket. They're going to do something, aren't they?
Yeah, but they've got to get. They haven't got pitches, have they? If I'm right in thinking, it's done more on artificial sort of pitches.
Except for Fort Lauderdale, which is an excellent ground run by Jeff Crow, obviously Martin Crow's brother. That's honestly one of the best cricket fields I've ever seen. It's beautifully kept. Corey Anderson is trying to captain the USA, the New Zealand connection. There is a big connection to New Zealand players playing in Fort Lauderdale. There's been matches between New Zealand, the West Indies, and Sri Lanka. Those three teams play a lot of cricket, as in ODIs and internationals. Quite incredible. Look, for something, I'm not going to go on with the point of Kohli's poor form overseas. The reality is he's played 61 test matches as captain, and he has a 59% rate. You can pull apart anyone's captaincy. It's still a damn good stat wherever he's played them. Still going to play for your country. Still going to toss a coin. Still going to bat and bowl. It's a brilliant record. I'm not going to take anything other than that. He's captained the most of any other captain in India. That's a pretty amazing stat, really. Honestly, you don't captain a side unless it must be worthy of it. I think to an extent. Brearley was interesting. His percentages were well over 60%.
He's come back at you, Norman. Have you seen he's come back at you? That's enough. You have to take the question. Chris, but we are talking about it. We have been talking about it.
Oh, we have. We did the other day. That's right. Chris, I want you to change hats.
I've got to go in about 5 minutes. I've actually got a work Zoom in 5 minutes. So, all right. I just had an email now. I'll find it for next time.
Siddharth's just joined us.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Norman.
Hello, mate. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. How are you? How are you doing there? It's gotten worse, I think, the COVID situation.
Yeah, it's not going very well over here at the moment. Might have had a positive test myself. So, luckily I can't be contagious over a camera screen. So I think you're safe.
Oh, get well soon, Chris. Get well soon.
I'm all right. I'm all good. I feel fine.
So you've talked about it now, Chris, that you were positive.
Yeah.
Correct. And what effects have you got? Have you got any?
Just felt like I had a bit of a cold for the last few days. Really, nothing else. I feel fine. So just got to crack on.
But you got the vaccine, right, Chris? You got the vaccine.
I had the first one. I've had one. So.
All right. Then the effects will be mild. Thankfully.
Yeah. I feel okay. It's nothing too bad.
And Reg, did you want to say something there or not? Add to that?
No, I just hope he feels a little bit better. It's not nice to get it, but it's something the government have clearly decided that they are putting people's civil liberties in front of the spread of the vaccine, because we've been locked down for so long and we've had so much taken away from us that they've come to a view that if they don't unlock us in the summer when general other illnesses are at their lowest, they can't unlock us until next spring, because when the winter comes in, you're not going to do it then, because there's all other sorts of problems coming in. And so I think they're sort of, it's a catch-22. What can you do? I think they're going to have to bring back some restrictions in the winter if it really goes wild again. But they're trying to get it back to normal as best they can.
But again, if England can take lessons from India, in which we thought that the cases had decreased, 10 to 20,000 we were getting in a day. Okay, let's open up everything. It proved to be catastrophic, absolutely catastrophic.
Yeah. Was that
the second wave?
That was second wave, wasn't it? Yeah,
that was the first wave
coming, haven't you?
We have got the third wave in August and September potentially coming. So I don't know how wise it is, honestly. I mean, Chris, Richard, Norman, how wise it is to open stadiums when in the UK there were 15 to 20,000 at the start of June.
Yeah.
You had a 3 to 4,000 cap. You've opened up the Euro. How big the Wembley fiasco will be a COVID bomb, we don't know. Was there any social distancing or masks enforced there? I doubt it. There was hardly any that I could see.
It was part of the government scheme to open up and have it as a they call it a controlled environment scheme, where you have to test before you go in and then have a test afterwards. And they're using it to see how the spread works as a scientific thing. But of course, as you know and I know, the minute people start drinking, then everything goes out the bloody window anyway. And it wasn't so much in the stadium; it was more the millions of people outside in the pubs.
Outside, yeah.
and that's where,
especially Leicester Square, Trafalgar, Manchester, Leeds. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, I really wonder what's going to happen for the rest of the summer. Even in our two Indian guys, we've tested positive. Rishabh Pant and one more guy, an assistant net bowler.
Yeah.
Pant is the guy who's tested positive for the Delta variant.
Mm.
And yet again,
there's
I
also
would like
some other staffers as well. There's a couple other staffers as well, isn't there?
Bharat Arun, the Indian bowling coach, Ridhiman Saha, again, and you've gotten even Abhimanyu Ishwaran. They were deemed potential contacts, so they have been isolated. I'll again like to say, yeah, Norman, before you get into it, I will say one thing. The BCCI, Jay Shah had clearly told the players, do not go to Wimbledon, do not go to Euro, because there might be potential risks in that. Jay Shah, the secretary, had clearly written it. But you saw Pant at the Euro final, at the Euro semi-finals. You saw Ashwin in Wimbledon. They were on a holiday, total holiday for 3 weeks before they reconvene on 21st. That shows Indian cricketers are bigger than the board. Whatever has happened now is because of their fault, totally the players' fault. They could not take care of themselves. They showed ill discipline, total indiscipline.
Norman, you need to ban someone on the comments if you can. If you see this Shelby guy, it's rubbish. You can't have being rude to your guests and things like that.
Okay, I'm trying, but there's a thing about Reg that certain people, I actually ignore them rather than block them because that's my thoughts. Anyway, just quickly, let me just say about Australia here for a minute. You talked about a number of examples of poor COVID form. Australia has had 0 cases, especially in Sydney, for over 6 months. Yet now we've got a sudden spike. Our vaccination rate was between 5 and 9%. After all this time, now all of a sudden we're into this massive panic. Everyone's running off to get vaccinated, and it's created bedlam, right? And we're in lockdown, and it is embarrassing that a country that's been so good for so long, the leading country, you would argue, is now fallen below most of your countries in terms of vaccination rates, which is the critical key. We can talk about not wearing a mask. I know that's bad. That is bad. But more important, if you're vaccinated, you won't die. That's more my issue. Okay, if you're stupid enough to go out there and not be masked and you get the COVID, okay, well and good. But if you're vaccinated, you're not going to die.
Yeah, 77% here, I think it is. Everyone over the age of 18 has been offered a first vaccination in the whole country. That is a lot of people. That's 60, 70 million, I'm going to guess.
What's the rate in India now, Sid?
I mean, about 40 to 50% of the 18 to 45 and about 60% of the 60 plus category have all gotten, the 60 plus have gotten both the vaccines.
Well, that's
18
huge.
to 45, yeah, but still 60% is, there's still a massive lag. You're talking about vaccinating 130 crore. That will take a lot of time.
Yeah, but hang on. We've got 25 million and we've only got 89% of ours. What the hell happened with us? We should have been vaccinated in a week.
Yeah, but I think what happened in this case is because countries like Australia, New Zealand, and to a certain extent England are all very, if you want to say, disciplined in life. It's kind of, I can say that in a certain way. Australians and New Zealand are very disciplined. Of course, England's reputation has taken a battering after what has happened in the Euro thing. But overall, they are very disciplined people. They will not go and become human bombs and just spread it out. That's the thing. So I think the vaccination rate did not take into account that basically your societies are very, very disciplined in a lot of ways. Maybe that's why they didn't take the vaccination pretty seriously.
I've had discussions here with Thanuja Niroshan. He's the stats guru in Sri Lanka for the Sri Lankan cricket team. He got COVID, and he's such a meticulously careful man. I know him personally. Loveliest man, most decent man, most thoughtful man. He said it was happenstance which happened to him. It was horrifically bad luck. Where it was, what I'm getting at there are certain circumstances where complete bad luck happens too, not necessarily a lack of lack of attention to detail.
I mean, I can agree with Behram. Like, yes, we can play cricket, focus on the cricket, but there are larger ramifications in place. I discussed it with Richard. I mean, isn't it? What happens when you are in the middle of a match and suddenly one is diagnosed with COVID? What will happen?
Yeah,
No one has had the foresight.
We were discussing the other day. They're going to have to do something. They're going to have to come out with a protocol because we can't. Otherwise, the series is gone, isn't it? We were saying this, weren't we, the other day? So, or they're going to have to completely isolate them off. But I don't know how they can do that. The venues they're playing in, they're not at the venues where they can completely isolate them. So, no.
But again, it's a big problem. I mean, Chris, I don't know what was the decision of the government. Did they consciously say on July 19th there's something, right? There's some event on July 19th.
Yeah, all the restrictions are going, aren't they, next week? So there won't be any social distancing. You don't have to wear masks anymore. So I don't know what they'll do with I don't know how it will pan out with the test series.
I know. I mean, it's really, really 14 days. Pant is now out for 14 days. So will he be there for the first test? He's done 8.
I think I read it was 8 days ago. He's been in I think I read he's been in isolation for 8 days already.
Oh,
I think I read that. I might again. I'm to be shot down if I'm wrong. I'm sure I read. Yeah. So I think he'll be okay. They just obviously didn't want to say anything.
I mean, look at the way how they have hid stuff from people. It just broke today. It leaked today. That means they have a really tight thing. They don't want to reveal anything. They really don't want to reveal anything. Then.
The reality is, and Barami's right, let's get all vaccinated. We won't be talking about this anymore.
Only hope, Norman.
It's not going away, Norman, is it? It's
no, but it's
being managed.
It's like the flu is. The flu is the same. You've got to manage it. Get vaccinated. Get away from the death scenario. If you are infirmed because of lack of health all round, and that thing knocks you off, I'm afraid that's the same as the flu would have done. I hate to say it. That's the reality of it. We have to understand people will be aged in some cases, or will be infirmed, and will get a virus or something, whether it's this or something else, and will pass. That's life, I'm afraid, and as sad as it may be. All right. Look, I just want to, as you probably know, Siddharth, I had Vikrant Gupta here earlier for 45 minutes, and he was fantastic. I've got a lot of respect for what he says. I mean, he's anyway. The journalism in India, he's an example, like you are, like Gautam, like Boria. You're all incredibly humble. Honestly, there's a humble, or humility is the right word. The way you go about things. When I look at Chris, though, he seems to be getting smaller and smaller on the screen. He's doing his, I don't get close to the screen. As you said, we can't catch.
I've got to go, Norman. I've got to go. I was just waiting to say see you later because I've got a separate Zoom. I've got to jump on now.
Thanks for coming on. I know that you are under the weather, but we're going to have to bring you on again and again. We've got a very big series about to start August 4th that you're going to be squarely involved
I'm keen to do some. Depending on how England go, I'm keen to do as little as much as possible. So,
Chris, have you got a prediction before you go for the series?
What's that?
Just for everyone. Have you got a prediction?
I think England will win. England will win 3-1.
The first over, what?
3-1. England will win the series, I think, or 3-2, be something like that.
All right, it's a bit early, but I still maintain it'll be India 3-2.
7-0, Norman, you said the other day. You said it on here, this show the other day when Siddharth was on. You said India 7-0.
I did not. That's what Adam Hollyoak used to make me say, and bloody Monty Panesar and bloody Alan Mullally. They make me say rubbish like that. It's not true. And Chris.
I'll see you later, guys. I'm going to go.
All right, Chris. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah. Bye, Chris. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. I still bowl better than you.
When you're over, Norman, don't forget that you've got the challenge with Chris to an over at each other each as a challenge. He
has no idea. He thinks Andre Russell's anyone can hit him out of the ground. You wait, I'll do a bloody gale on him. Did you like watching Chris Gale bat against Hazelwood? He absolutely smashed him.
Smashed. I told you, Norman, the West Indies bring out their best only against the Aussies. That's it.
Yeah.
And okay, luckily today Mitchell Marsh saved you. The kind
Just.
just. But he got 3 wickets. I think Marsh should be your key asset for the World T20 in India.
Norman's
In the UAE, that is.
He's likely not to play
in the second 11.
Sorry?
Pardon?
Norman's ousted him already. He's not making the second team. He's already said he's done the
Yeah,
lot.
well, I actually don't think he will. Despite he shocked me with his performances, to be honest with you. But when Stoinis and Warner and people like that come back in, it might be a bit hard to find him a place. Honestly, it's gonna be interesting.
I think you shouldn't get Smithen for the T20s. He's totally misplaced with T20s.
He's almost admitted himself he's not going to play. He's made out that he's concentrating on Test cricket. So yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys. You know what? Vikrant was great. We've got great numbers today. Now, the numbers today, at the moment, across the board, there are very few viewers on any channel. There seems to be a real lull. It's gone through a real lull, and understandably so. There's not a lot of really significant cricket matches going on at the moment, to be honest. Though there are important ones, yes, but I mean they're not killer Test series or World Cups or IPL. So I guess it's fair enough that people do go off watching for a while. Yeah. But yeah,
I think the thing is, Norman, when India don't do well, like it happened even in 2019, when they don't do well, there is a lull in every kind of thing that you want to do.
Understandable.
That's how it is.
Same in Australia. We go off cricket if we lose a little bit.
Yep.
So after the first day at Trent Bridge, when England are 62 without loss, chasing 110 all out, would you think the numbers are going to be very low?
Are you saying
it's difficult. It's difficult. I will say one thing. India have a great record in Trent Bridge and Leeds, but they have a terrible record in the other venues. So England, I would say the series is 2-2 in my favor. 2-2.
Leeds is good venue for England. Leeds is Headingley. It was Leeds, Headingley 81, Botham, Stokes against the Aussies 2 years
2019.
ago.
Oh, what a match. What a match.
If anyone who's listening now, and there's if you haven't seen the highlights of the last day's play, Stokes versus the Australians, Headingley, night 2019, that was something rather special for anyone who just likes cricket. Not saying it was because I'm an Englishman, but I am. But just from a pure cricket point of view, it was something pretty special. That was, and a crowd.
Indeed, one of the greatest.
Yeah.
2019 was the year of Ben Stokes. Simple. 2019 was the year of Ben Stokes. He single-handedly helped England.
I was saying, Norman put a brilliant thing on Facebook this morning. I don't know if you saw it, from the crowd for the World Cup final, for the last ball. He's in the crowd. And he's got the camera out, and he's looking at and you can see the game going on in the background, and then the run out, and all the cheering, and Isha Guha, I see running up and down. Norman, did you see it? It's Isha.
Yeah, Isha Guha went nuts.
She went nuts.
Absolutely nuts. She was actually uncontrollable. She didn't know what to do. Yeah, very similar. Lisa Slake had the same reaction when the Women's World Cup final happened in Australia. She was on the field. She was crying. But it was what was disturbing for me. I had a guy, and I don't think that video showed it, who actually had a heart attack, and had the ambulance man to come out and take him into a stretcher and take him out of the ground just before the end of the match.
Crumbs.
That was a great experience.
The match. Oh gosh.
Literally as that over was happening.
Bloody hell. I hope he was all right. He's going to be gutted to have missed it, isn't he?
I mean, I couldn't well say, would you please move out of the way? I couldn't say that because it would have been a bit tactless at that time. But I was very lucky. I mean, I was running around with two lovely Indian ladies called Reena and Leena, who were both with their sisters. They were my escorts around the ground. I had a lot of fun. And I was prancing around and I was having a ball. Because I actually was pretty flush with cash. I bought them both tickets to the match, and we had Monty Panesar there as well. Reena,
you're a disgrace, Norman. You are a disgrace.
Reena
okay, he's off. He's off.
Live on air, Siddharth. He was chatting up.
Reena and Leena Dutta. Go follow them on Facebook. Reena and Leena Dutta. They're a lovely pair. A lot of fun. They're so much fun. We had a ball together that day. And the day before, I was at the women's Wimbledon.
You see the scar here? There is a scar here, a light scar. You see this line here?
Yes.
These are the remains of 2 years ago when I was so nervous when I was doing that match. I was so nervous I scratched myself so deep out of the sheer tension, it didn't go away. I didn't sleep for 4 weeks because I was so filled with nervous energy after the match. I was thinking, did I just see what I saw?
Greatest match
Did I
ever
just see
played,
that?
wasn't it?
It was the most
Ian
dramatic
Smith-
thing I've ever
and
seen.
Ian Smith did the greatest commentary, didn't he?
He was fantastic.
And have you seen the highlights from the commentary box as it goes on with the commentators?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I mean,
Yes.
it's even Nasser and Ian Smith in the commentary box.
I think Ian Smith, Ian Bishop, and Nasser were there, I guess.
Yeah, and Ian Smith had to stand up, doesn't he? And he has his little cushions where he can lean on them. It's brilliant.
Where I was seated, I could look up to the that's JP Morgan Media Center, and it's very visible. The reactions in there were like a party. I mean, I was downstairs at that time, but I roamed around. I was hobnobbing, mucking around. I had a great time. It was one of my best years in terms of travel, I tell you. It was great. But it's not finished yet. 2023, as long as no COVID round, I'm back for another Ashes tour, playing and watching and carrying on. So that's the meeting before it.
I think you'll never see such a final like that ever.
No,
never.
That was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I think it trumps even the 1999 one, semi-final, South Africa, Australia.
What a game. Klusner won it for him. He won the game single-handedly and lost it. Oh, I was cheering on South Africa because, of course, I was.
I certainly wasn't.
But
obviously.
That was tense. That was tension as well. That was awesome.
Yep.
Bloody
I know.
Awesome.
I mean, that left you dumbfounded.
I was, yeah, absolutely.
I can't remember any game I've ever barracked for South Africa. I'm sorry.
But the Klusner deserved to be on the losing side that day. He was awesome, Lance Klusner.
No, but imagine Klusner's plight. He lost that game. South Africa eliminated. He had to travel to Lords and see Australia win because he had to get the Player of the Series award. Imagine that must have been an even bigger, I don't know, hurt, I may say. Terrible.
I mean, to me, I've just got an Australian cricket broadcast. Adam Zampa's coming for an interview. Look, I'll tell you what. I'll go back to Australia for a minute. Bowling-wise, spinners-wise, the person to replace Nathan Lyon in the Australian side should be Adam Zampa for all formats. He is a very clever bowler, not just a short format. He's got a lot of time for his almost Shane Warne-esque style on occasions. He's being undervalued.
Look, a little bit of the cheeky look of Warne in this young Warne.
He does, but he's a very clever guy.
Norman, even if just because Lyon is there, why didn't Australia make him a regular from 2017 till 2021 in the ODI and the T20s? He got a 6-for in the IPL. He played under Dhoni. Why couldn't they keep him as a regular? Why? It just left me dumbfounded. Why couldn't Adam Zampa be kept as one of the regulars spinners in the Australian ODI and T20 team? Why?
Yeah. I don't think he's going to worry England too much. I don't think he's going to scare us too much going forward. As much, I think Lyon will play more of a part in the Ashes than Zampa would. If Lyon wasn't there, I don't think Zampa would be.
Ronak Sharma, I'm sorry.
Look at that. Thanks a lot. Who's that?
Ronak Sharma, I came to listen to Vikrant Gupta. He was there for 45 minutes in the first hour. I'm sorry he's not there now. So I'm sorry.
I'm a very, very poor substitute.
No, that's not true.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Ronak Sharma, you'll be able to. Ronak Sharma's. He's there. You just go back and look at the video. It's going to be there in full. It was a magnificent 45 minutes. So is the last hour and 15 minutes as well. All right, guys. I think we've had a great show. I'm really happy with the show. It's been fantastic. Not only because of Vikrant, but also because of both Chris and Reg, and obviously Siddharth. It's a warm feeling. It's a great show in terms of who I can bring on, the sense of community. Would you agree, Siddharth? There's a sense of community when you come on here.
I never imagined that I would get this platform. Firstly, so thanks, Norman, for giving me this opportunity. I'm really, really grateful for it, and to meet such wonderful people like Chris, Reg, Gil. All of them. It's really, really been. And imagine if it was not for COVID, we would be having this, say, in an ideal world, in a round table, just us discussing on cricket at the fireplace just beside us, like how Richie Beno's talk time would be beside the fireplace.
Well, but the fact is, all of us, once COVID lifts properly and we can travel in any format, I'm going to be in England and in India, and we're going to get together physically. We're going to have dinners. We'll bring fans along. We'll get to meet not only Munchie, obviously, but the other people
don't
online.
Munchie, Norman, God's sake.
I mean, Biram Irani. I want to meet Biram Irani. These people that are on here. What a great
aim is 2022 Australia. My aim is 2022 ICC World T20 in Australia.
And 23 for me, England and India in there somewhere as well. So,
of course,
without a doubt.
Norman,
I'm very blessed because
Norman, before you go, did you see that there was a world test record smashed the other day in a test match?
No.
A test record got smashed. I just saw the stat, and it's a brilliant one. Because
191, Mahmudullah and Tuscan.
No.
Zimbabwe, Bangladesh.
It was a Zimbabwe, Bangladesh one. There is no better game in the world, by the way, is there for stats than cricket. Cricket is a statistic game.
Yeah.
So the opening batsman, Caetano for Zimbabwe against Bangladesh, smashed the world record for the most runs scored before he got off the mark as an opening bat. So the previous record was 39. So the opening bat
he took 52. He took 52.
More. No, it was 72. 72
wow.
runs on the ball before the opening bat got off the mark. It's
wow.
How many? So
73 runs.
72, Norman, when he got off the mark. He was on 0 when the score was on 72 and he opened the batting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What was the other bat? How much was the other batter? Was he past 50?
Yeah, it must have been. It was Brendan Taylor came in at number 3 and smashed it. Absolutely mashed it everywhere. And yeah, that's record stood since 2005. And that's
incredible.
39. It's gone past it by miles and miles.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, 72 and you just got a single.
He got a single, yes.
Imagine that.
So it's hard to comprehend, actually. We're forgetting one series. We've talked about it, a lot of series, but the India-Sri Lanka series, is that going ahead on the 18th still?
Yeah, it's going ahead on the 18th. Yep. Because the Sri Lankan team have done their second PCR test. Everyone's come out negative. So it's going ahead.
And they had two squads.
But again,
squads isolating, didn't they, Sri Lanka? They put two squads in two different cities.
Look, you got no Kusal Pereira. There's no Angelo Matthews. Dinesh Chandimal is serving in the army. Who are they going to get? I really don't know who they're going to get.
I reckon Russian Dickweiler might come back after
Get Hirath out of retirement.
Dickweiler, after all the thing that happened in England, he's back. I don't think so.
Well, no, I mean, they're considering bringing him back, apparently, because the lack of quality players. His so-called ban, how long is it for?
We don't know yet. Because I think they haven't completed their isolation yet, 14 days. Have they completed it?
I think they have. Pretty sure they have.
Is that the ones who came back from England came back a month ago?
Oh, yeah, they finished it 2 days back. Yep.
Yeah,
they did.
They got
realistically,
a month ago. They would have been clear by now.
So why hasn't he been given his punishment?
I don't know. Maybe Sri Lanka cricket are getting cold feet on giving those punishments.
Well, if you compare it to Pant and these people, I have to argue it's not all that severe as it's turned out to be. Really,
I'll again tell you, the Australian and England boards have set out a level of professionalism. England put safety first. That is why the England Cricket Board had the audacity to drop Jofra Archer as he did the bio bubble breach. Here, you can argue that there was no bio bubble. But in the letter clearly written, supposing, Norman, you are my boss. You tell me that, okay, Sid, do not go out. You head the world's most powerful cricketing board. You write me a letter to all the players in one common email stating that, okay, you're not supposed to go out because it's COVID times. The rule applies for all. But I still ignore you. Now, in a professional setup, what would you do? Reg, what would you do? You would definitely reprimand me. You will say, you come back from the tour. This is not going to happen.
Yeah, we were talking about this just a little bit earlier, that I'd read, I know Norma hadn't seen it, that there had been a communique by the cricket board to the players to say, don't go to these big events. You're free to be away for your rest period, but do not go to these. That's what I think I saw that they'd said, and he went
indeed.
anyway.
You're right.
It really comes down to how the Indian cricket board perceive that as a breach of trust and the agreement that they have with the players, isn't it? I don't know how, because obviously.
But Reg, I mean, just imagine. Okay, you're a player. You're fed up with this bio bubble nonsense. You're fed up with the lockdown. You just want to go out and enjoy. In a normal situation, would you have taken that risk? Oh, he's been just too overcautious. Let us just go for it.
No, I was saying earlier with Norman, I think that they have to be on a higher platform than me, who's just a nobody, because they are professional.
Would you stop saying that? You're not. What do you mean you're?
No, but I'm not an elite sportsman who's going to be representing his country in a landmark Test series, because in Test series as they go, you've got England, Australia, you've got New Zealand, Australia is quite a big series. I mean, India, Pakistan, but they don't play. But then you're coming down to England, India. This is a big marquee Test series. And these guys are going to be representing their country. And it's a big series. And not just for the cricket, but this is for the money as well. This is a big money spinning series for BCCI and for the ECB. They need it. Believe me, the ECB need it. So they can't be treated the same way that we would as three normal guys. And he should have lived up to his responsibilities. Now he's a young guy, and I'm sure he feels pretty bad. And I don't know how they'll punish him, but who's the replacement?
Oh, no. No one's going to punish him. The replacement keeper himself is in isolation, as he was deemed a close contact.
Right. Okay.
KL Rahul is one more option. KL Rahul.
Okay, but I don't.
What about MS Dhoni flying over?
Yeah.
Nah, too late.
The thing is that Pant is a superstar of Indian cricket. He's Norman's favourite cricketer of all time.
No.
And I don't see them taking a harsh stance. If it had been someone of the lesser ranks in the squad, I think you might have seen a different. The fact that they kept it touch for the last 10 days.
If I may just add in that, in India, politicians and cricketers, elite cricketers, never get punished. Yeah. KL Rahul and Hardik Pandya were punished after a lot of outrage, immense outrage. That was the only time. But apart from that, these are all misdemeanors. They'll say, it's okay. They just wanted to enjoy the Euro. Everybody would have wanted to enjoy the Euro. I mean, if I was in England, if I didn't have any other responsibility, I would have said, England versus Italy, once in a lifetime final. Why don't I go there? The feeling was there. Everybody it was a fever pitch kind of a hype. The Euro.
Couldn't they have just simply have had masks? Have been in perhaps a sort of a location that was rather protected. I don't know, something like that. Perhaps
maybe because Norman again, there was no mask rule at that time. No one in Wembley.
I know.
Out of 80,000, hardly I think about 500 or 1,000 would have worn a mask. That's it.
They didn't need to. They weren't required to wear a mask. They weren't required.
No, I appreciate that, but because of their circumstances,
he has to set himself above that. That's the thing. Unfortunately, he hasn't behaved appropriately. That I don't want to upset our Indian fans. I just don't. I'm conscious that they have a responsibility to the team, but also to the sporting public, their fans, and he is loved and adored in India, rightly so. And unfortunately, that comes at a price. And it's a harsh. Sometimes.
I will just say one thing: the reaction, Norman, Reg. If an Australian or England player would have done the same thing, the media would have pounced on and said they're all COVID idiots, isn't it?
True.
Because that's the level of professionalism that you guys demand from the team, especially Australia, especially England. I mean, if, for example, Alex Hales, Ben Stokes, the affray charges that were against them hurt their reputation big time. But
well, Tom Cruise
the
was
media there, yeah.
Tom Cruise was there. Now he's like Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks entered Australia gallivanting around, had COVID, gave it to everybody, then went. Would you believe? He and his wife, she was doing a speech in the Opera House to thousands of people having been tested in that throes of it for COVID. And Tom was off there, and they both left the country. And we let him back in 3 months later. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? Anyway, look, it's been great, guys. I really appreciate it. We've still got good numbers here because everybody thinks Vikrant Gupta's still on.
Yeah.
But no, but I actually was surprised because I felt Vikrant's time was very limited. So I knew I had another show to go to after mine. So I kept
9
on
o'clock, he
saying,
has a prime show.
Yeah, but the thing is, he kept on. I kept on saying, "You want to go?" And he kept on wanting to stay longer. And it was like I was pushing him off, and I wasn't, of course. But he had a good time. He's a.
Although if Vikrant was here, I would have just said that. Okay, Vikrant, you had discussed the Euro fan reaction. Why didn't you focus on the Indian fans' behavior in '96 or any other instance? That would have made for interesting banter.
We were mucking around. We were talking about food or something, but typical neighbour. No, he's a lovely man, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm talking again. I've seen him do shows, by the way, Reg, that have got virtually no following. He's such a giving person. He has nothing
not yours, Norman. That's what you mean.
No, I don't mean mine necessarily. He and I, we've talked a lot on social media, and he's a lovely bloke. He's just a lovely bloke. Anyway, that's really good. All right, we could talk about Pandya and Rahul a bit more, but I wish there was a day where Hardik Pandya was in the Test side again. He was batting and bowling well, because that little renaissance period when he was doing that well was a great time. Even Rahul, when he was a batter, not even thought of as a keeper, was also a great period for India. I just hope those two guys get back in, because I think they deserve it. But how, I don't know at this point.
They need Pandya back in, or someone.
Rosso Entertainment's joined us here. He's from Nepal, and he loves you, said, because of your love of New Zealand, which is good. Reg, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
What were you going to say?
Not me.
I mean, thank you. Thank you.
I'm in a mood where I can speak for hours, but I actually have something to do, to believe.
It's what is it called? 1:20 in the morning, isn't it, Norman?
Yeah, it's 1:20 in Australia, I suppose. Yeah.
It is. But I'm in such a mood. I'm such a
lady. He's got a late night assignation, I think.
I'm not commenting on anything.
In fact, I've noticed his background is something that we don't usually see. And it could be that's the wall of a hotel room and somebody is awaiting patiently, Norman.
Will he pan the camera around? I don't know.
I don't want to. I think it shot the viewers. Whatever might be waiting for.
See, you're two big bloody detectives, you two are, aren't you?
Norman, she might charge by the hour. You don't want to be on here too long.
Oh, is it? No, I'm.
Oh, see, we were right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Blind Freddy could have told you. I thought the background. I didn't do a very good job with the background. Put it this way. I was just asked whether someone should wear a mask, so maybe they should. Now, the reality is my mother's back in hospital for another night, and I thought I'd just go out of the home, and just because she's in surveillance, so nothing serious, thankfully, but it's just an age factor, I think, and they just felt that, so I'm just taking a bit of a 12-hour little jaunt. I'm in Coogee still, though, but I'm in hotel. You're right. I'm at the Crown Plaza in Coogee. It's only about 2 streets from me. So
okay.
So I know the people here very well. This hotel's going to close down tomorrow, would you believe? Because there's no guests, because no one's traveling.
Oh boy.
Well, not closed down altogether, but closed down for a period of time, because the COVID bubbles bit so hard that there's no one coming here. All of the rugby league teams, all of the AFL teams, all of the soccer and union, they're all in Queensland. This is the first time I can ever remember there not being one single rugby league side physically here. My mighty South Sydney are up there in Queensland as well. So this hotel is normally full of sports people. This is a sporting hotel. It's right opposite the beach. And I thought, well, they're giving a very cheap rate because no one's here.
There was just a news flash. Just come on, hold on. I'm going to cut myself off here if I'm not careful.
What?
I was going to say, I'm back. I am here. Can you see me? Oh, sorry, Norman.
No, I can't see you.
The Barnes said, you've just messaged to Lakshi, hello, you got this. And Barnes said, boy, said, hello, Lakshi Sharma. But you're on air.
Yeah, sorry. No, I just sent a quick. You can hear me. You can't see me, yeah?
Yeah, that's correct.
And he's replied, Nilakshi Sharma.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say there was a very quick news flash about the COVID cases in the UK that just flashed up on my screen. That's why I've cut myself off. I apologise. I was going to report.
We have 65 today, but 20 odd were locally.
We're about 65,000, Norman.
What's yours? He's cutting off.
65,000 in the UK.
That's what he just said.
My goodness, that's about 25,000 more than what we have.
Oh, that's my fault.
So, could you explain that one again? Explain that to me again. What are you saying? How many have you got in England?
I think I just saw it was a very quick flash. I think it's about 65,000 new cases.
Oh boy!
How many?
65,000.
I think that's what it said. I only caught it very briefly. That's why I was trying to get it and I cut myself off.
Well, you had 65,000. We had 65.
Yeah. It's getting big, but the hospitalizations and the deaths are staying low in comparison.
Well, that's what you want,
and that's why they're opening it up. That's the difference. If the hospitalizations and the deaths were in proportion as they were previously, we would be going back into lockdown. But they've taken a view that people are getting it, but they're not getting it badly. They're just getting minor symptoms. It's
like the flu now. I mean, the flu goes in the tens of thousands every season, and people die, and there's all that sort of thing going on, but people don't die as much, and they're all vaccinated. So that's what's going to happen. Next year's COVID records will be still pretty high, but everybody will be vaccinated. There'll be almost no deaths, and ultimately there'll be a lot more movement. It's going to be the new flu, not as good as the new flu, so to speak, but it'll become like the flu. It's going to be vaccinated every season, maybe every twice a season. I don't know. Yeah.
I've got an answer, Norman, to the last question that's come up from Human that's having a go at Sid. And I'm going to answer for Sid before he answers it. I don't know if he can see the questions. Can you see them, Sid? Where you are?
I saw it. I saw it.
And I'm going to say to Human, does he want us to come on and talk not what we consider as a considered intelligent point of view about what our opinions are, just to support our own particular country, just so we're liked by our own fans, as it were? Or are we going to tell the truth of what we see? And that's why we're on here. We're on here to have a debate and give an honest account and a point of view. And if you want Sid, just to come on and say India are brilliant, they're fantastic, I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to tell it as he sees it, and it will spark debate, and then we can discuss it. But
it's credit where credit's due. Sid will sit up, will say what he says, because he's a learned man, and he's not someone.
Norman, I mean, I think we have all followed cricket enough to know the facts.
Exactly.
Jofra Archer was suspended because he breached the bio-bubble. That showed England's zero tolerance policy towards it. Now there is nothing tarnishing about it. I mean, if you're professional, you're professional. Plain and simple.
Do you know what he did? Do you know what he did? Do you know why he breached the bio-bubble that game?
He went to a friend's place.
He went to see his dog. His dog had been left, and he went home. He went home to see his dog, and it was for about an hour. And then he went back. He did it from the ground where he was to go back. It was en route because it was Southampton, and he's in Manchester, which is north, and he had to drive to Southampton, and he lives near Southampton, and he stopped off at his home en route And I think it was for an hour,
Oh,
and they got punished. For
oh boy!
Can I give you a rugby league? Give me a rugby league example. The St George football team, rugby league football team, were told by their club not to get together and have a barbecue after a game, and to go home and be in their bio bubbles. Right. One player, Michael Vaughan, who's broken this breach, he's breached before, brought the whole team to his place. Okay. And made so much noise that the neighbours complained about the noise. They had too many people in the house. They shouldn't have been together in that manner. They had girlfriends there, wives, whatever, and they were caught. So they were busted. Michael Vaughan, who was the man who was the ringleader, got them all together on Zoom to try and lie together properly. They had a Zoom with someone infiltrated. So anyway, he was sacked from the club. He lost an $800,000 contract. All these things was hit really, really hard. One of the players in there had been on a rape charge for 2 years, had got off it, but then within a week or two was in there busting another rule. It was a complete mess. But this one guy, Paul Vaughan. Michael Vaughan plays cricket. Paul Vaughan. So I got that wrong. Paul Vaughan, and he lost his $800,000 contract. Was ripped up. So that was pretty severe.
Yeah.
I mean. But at the same time, Australia's cases are so damn low that it is a bit of an extreme. I know 65 a day is nothing, and 27.
No, but Norman, for Australia's vaccination rate, the vaccination rate in Australia, and compared to all this, 925 active cases is still very high.
Oh, you're
because looking at the population proportion and looking at the vaccination rate, 925 active cases is very high for Australia's thing. Because such is your discipline. But for England, I'm really, really worried now. Because not just this, Reg. You are opening up the Formula 1 weekend also in Silverstone. It's got a capacity of 150,000.
They're opening everything up.
Full capacity.
They're opening everything up. So, the numbers will go up.
I'm really worried now. Really worried.
They will go up. But as we said, that everyone over 18 who wants a vaccine has had a first dose. And the percentage, I think, of the double doses now, I'm to be shot down if I'm wrong. I think it's 45% of the adult population have had 2 doses. So
you're doing well. I mean, compared to around 9%.
You can still get it even when you've had 2 doses, but the symptoms are much reduced. You might just feel a little bit unwell. You have to then isolate. But you're not getting hospitalized or dying, and they've taken this as a view. It's a bit like you're getting a heavy cold sort of thing. So it's politics, and it's very difficult because
I mean, see, the current surge, if you have to analyze the current surge, let's exclude the United Kingdom because there the Delta variant has spread. There have been events that have contributed to the spread. You look at South Korea, you look at Australia, you look at Laos, Thailand, Vietnam, Taiwan, all these countries have had very low vaccination rates. So the spread is much more there. If you look at it. Even New Zealand, there are 40 active cases now in New Zealand.
Yeah, it's the variants that are going to come out. That's the problem. You're going to get another variant. The Delta one came, and that swept. And if there's another one,
airborne as well. It was airborne.
Delta plus. There's a Delta plus as well. There's a Delta plus.
Yeah, well, I mean.
And that is going to impact us in the third wave.
Yeah.
That will come potentially around August, September.
Yeah, scary times.
But as long as we get vaccinated, you mean the Delta Plus strain will not be covered by our vaccination?
I think it will. But it just mutates a little bit. But
but then there is a worry. The Delta Plus variant will impact kids.
Right.
From 3 to 12, that will be the next wave. And kids haven't gotten vaccinated yet.
Right.
So that's a very big worry, especially for me. It's a big worry because I've got a 4-year-old daughter and vaccination rates haven't come out for kids at all. No vaccination has been rolled out.
But I think that the children don't get it, and they get it very mildly, don't they? We haven't.
I hope so.
We're not vaccinating.
I pray. I really pray.
Yeah, I want to say to Human
I'm really praying.
Human on the comments, what's been unfair and disparaging? Tell us, we'll answer it. If someone comes with a comment that says we've got it wrong or we've been unfair. I think we would all stay here and answer a question if they think we're not, and put our point of view. I haven't heard anything that Sid said that I think has been unfair, and it's an unfair criticism. Nothing. But if he thinks it has,
well,
tell us.
The AP Gunner, that's an airline.
Yeah.
Oh, it's also one of the Greek alphabets.
Yeah.
All right, guys. On that note, we've gone 2.5 hours in total. At least I have.
Norman's going to be excited about what's coming next as well, Sid. You've got to bear in mind he's been good for 2.5 hours, but yeah.
I'm not going to pass the comment.
He's got plenty of things to look at than us, that's for sure.
All right,
you can
guys.
look at the beach.
Exactly. In the morning. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me again, Norman.
It's been fantastic. We've had Chris on. We've had, obviously, Vikrant to start us off. It's all been very good. I've got some movement in the station here as well, so all good. So
movement where?
In the station. Norman,
please.
Okay, all right. We will talk more soon, guys. Thank you. I'll get more great guests on, as I've seen. But please, that have seen this, who are new to my channel, you know where to subscribe. You know where our so-called Instagram and our Twitter handles are. Please engage with us. Let me know what you want. Let's leave it there, right, human?
It's free. Free to subscribe, Norman. It costs nothing. You just press the button.
Costs
no cost.
Amazing.
It's just free.
He can have 5.4 million following his channel, and look, I understand why. He's a consummate expert. He's great. I'd like a few to do the right thing and just subscribe. Thanks again, guys. I really appreciate your time, both of you. I'll say goodbye to you both. I'll say quick goodbye to everyone.
Thanks, Sid.
We'll see each other again in the next few days.
Yep.
Long live cricket.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Cheers. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Ciao. Bye. See you. Bye.
See you, Siddharth. See you, Reg.
Bye, Norman. Bye.
All right, everyone, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you being here. Yes, it is late here in Australia, and thanks to Vikrant Gupta, we've also had Siddharth Vishwanathan, we've had both Reg and Chris Vernon. It's been a fantastic show yet again. I really appreciate all this. It's been wonderful. Please tune in again. My Instagram, my YouTube channel is here, subscribe, hit the notification button. Become a member in the future. You'll see the benefits of that. Merchandising as well. So at Norm Koch for Twitter and my so-called my YouTube channel, my Twitter and Instagram channel. All the way. All the best, guys. Thank you very much. See you again soon.